Mate, that's an awesome setup. I heard you had a bike in your living room.
Yeah, this is my summer living room bike.
Your summer living room bike. Go on,
I
then.
have a winter living room bike for in the winter.
Which one's the winter one? The Gucci?
That's the V7. Yeah, that doesn't play in the wet.
Awesome. Don't blame you. Mate, how do you want to do this? Obviously, do you want us to have a little chat first, or would you rather just crack on, we get to know each other along with everybody else during the whole podcast?
I'm cool with cracking on, to be honest. I mean, I've got as long as you need, and just see how it plays out, mate.
Sounds good to me then. Right, folks, here's Pete, Hippo Drones. How you doing, man?
Good, thanks, man. Good, thanks for having me.
Excellent. Right, are you armed? Have you come armed and ready?
I have a little tipple to start with, a little staff to drink.
Oh, I see. What's that?
Which is a little bit of engine oil.
Engine oil, organic gin.
Yes.
Right. I am fully stocked on the old brew dogs again. So,
yes. You and your free drinks, eh?
These are from the charity shop. Where my, I don't know if you've heard. I've said it on the podcast before.
The last one, or the one I can't remember whether it was the last one or the one before. You gave a free because they can't take them at the centre, which is kind of understandable considering what the centre's for.
Yeah, exactly. So they come to me. Happy days for a little donation. Yeah, brilliant. Dude, how about to start with? Can I float as usual? Can I just throw the floor open to you? You tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there. Who are you? What you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Pete. I've been YouTubing for about 5 years, and I'm in my 5th year of YouTubing now. I've got a channel called Hippo Drones, motovlogs. I do all sorts of different things. I've got various different motorcycles, so the channel's mainly motorcycle related. But I like historical sites, so I often visit castles and things when I get the opportunity to, although COVID did kind of mess with that a little bit. I love motor camping. I love off-roading. I love road riding. I love a bike. I love bike. In the words of Guerrilla Biker, I love bike.
So what got you into YouTube? What made you start YouTube?
I always thought it was a little bit weird. I met Royal Jordanian many years ago down at Rikers Cafe, and I was like, what's that weirdo doing with camera stuck on his bike and all that sort of thing? I didn't get it. And then I started riding around in Scotland when I was in the Navy, and I had no friends to ride with up there, so I recorded rides. Didn't think anyone would be interested in that sort of thing, and no one really was at that sort of time. So they just sort of stayed as my own personal things. And then I discovered a channel called Phil480 and Andy Mancam and Sven Garley. And Sven Garley, I think, was probably the most influential because I started watching his videos. It's a sad story about the bloke, but I started watching his videos around the time I started learning how to green lane, or rather ride dodgily up in Scotland where you're not supposed to ride.
Now, you mentioned that about the Navy. Now, this is something I have to ask you. What drove you, not just to join the forces, because I understand that, but to be a submariner?
Stupidly, when I was little, and submarines are a lot bigger when you're little, I thought they were really, really cool. And I thought I'd get to see the
underwater city.
But little did I know that they're not cool. They're not small. Sorry, they're not big. And even a short person like me will end up with permanent scars on their chin and forehead from going through hatches and stuff. I'm an engineer at heart. I've always have been pulling things apart ever since my dad didn't let me use his spanners. So becoming an engineer was kind of inevitable, even though school life, I did nothing. I mean, if I hadn't joined the Royal Navy, I'd be on, well, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in a bad way. So the Royal Navy sorted me out. So the forces was a natural thing. I needed the discipline. The Navy was, I like boats, and submarines was, I'm stupid.
So how long did you spend, A, in the forces and B, in the submarines?
I was 12 years in the Royal Navy. Due to some issues, as in falling off motorcycles and things like that, I was a bit delayed in getting to sea as a submariner. and because I joined as an engineer, it took 3 years of training just to become someone that they could use. Right. So I joined in just before the 9/11 stuff. My first sea draft, we ended up going at full speed towards America to see if we could help out. And then after that, did career training. And it's a long-winded story, but with submarine schools getting condemned for having bad electrics, me breaking myself several times, I actually joined the submarine fleet in about 2005. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was there till early 2013.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I mean, it's kind of cool. We don't get to see all that much as a submariner. We do one patrol a year almost, and that's about 3 to 4 months. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty easy. And if you break yourself periodically on motorcycles, you don't have to go to sea very much at all.
Now, what I remember about submariners in my old job at Downing Street is they always used to rock up the week for Remembrance Day. They'd always rock up. I think it was the week before or 2 weeks before. All the submariners would turn up at Downing Street to get the picture in front of number 10, and they'd give you the little wee dolphin, the wee emblem. And I remember saying to them, how come you guys are here now? Like, you always seem to turn up early. And they're like, oh, we're not allowed to celebrate Remembrance Day with everybody else. And I was like, why is that? And they were like, well, because apparently we're too uncouth. And I thought, is that true? Or were they pulling my chain?
Underwater, underhand, and downright un-British, I think was the phrase.
Yeah. Are they regarded as pirates or something like that?
Well, we still have the Jolly Roger. Actually, we still have Jolly Roger. We're the only ships in the Royal Navy to fly the Jolly Roger. We fly that. It's a battle ensign. It's what we bring when we've come back from a conflict. So obviously it's not a celebration sort of thing, although it kind of is. But yeah, that's like a tradition that we still use the Jolly Roger.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Although I was on the nuclear deterrent submarine, so we didn't come back from battle because there'd be nothing to come back from if we did that.
Oh God, yeah. It's fairly topical at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty scary stuff. Stuff.
Isn't it just? Well, let's not get into that. Okay, so
Absolutely.
after the Navy, where did life take you? What did you do?
I work at an airport now, health and safety based, which is odd because me, health and safety. But yeah, I love it. I've been there since I left the Navy, and it's brilliant. It's 5 miles down the road from me, which was the reason I left the Navy. Was I was sick of being away from home. So it's perfect for me. I love it. But yeah, it's not really a path that kind of coincides with my out of work activities, really. I learned to skydive when 2016 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, that didn't work out for me.
There's a story there. Come on, tell me.
I had a bad landing. I was supposed to do 18 jumps, which would get me my full BPA license to be able to jump out of aeroplanes whenever I wanted to. And I did all the levels 1 to 7, and then you sort of do consolidation jumps where you go and by yourself, you do what you want in the air and stuff like that. And I did it in Spain because it's nice and hot there and stuff. And on jump 15, I had a bad landing and duffed up my other ankle. I've already got a duff ankle. I didn't tell them that at the time, but duffed up my other ankle, gave myself sciatica, and decided it wasn't. Motorcycles are safer.
Gee whiz. And you're a little bit like me, are you not? You've got a propensity to throw yourself off of motorbikes as well. Is that true?
I'm quite good at it now, I think. Yeah. Although I'm a bit out of practice. Well, we'll say that. Since starting dirt biking, it's kind of picked up again. But I don't count them as off. They're not offs. They're practice.
So, do you know Simon Weir that does all the bike routes and all that sort of stuff? He has a saying. Apparently, it's a saying amongst the journalists. It's not you've not had an off. You've not had a crash unless there's metal work and stitching involved. Then it's a crash. As in, you've had like pins put into your bones and things like that.
Oh, I've not had a crash then.
There you go. You're fine.
I broke my back, but they didn't have to pin me up.
He took a tour with me a couple of weeks ago up to Scotland. And one night he was wearing, I think it was the first night when I met him at the Buccleuch Arms in Moffat. And he was wearing shorts. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with your legs? Like, he had all these bumps and things sticking out of his legs. Yeah, and he was just like, that's 15 years riding motorbikes for magazine. This was this crash, and that was that launch, and this was that review.
I guess you kind of expected when you're a journo to kind of put a bit of extra effort into the riding.
Yeah,
especially back in the day, of the good old days when you could.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very aware that there's a distinct difference between what we do pissing about on YouTube and what the actual pucker proper journalists do. Yeah, they really push it. If I crash, it's because I'm bloody incompetent. If they crash,
I think it works for them too, like that.
Yeah, it's a mixture of yeah.
So they've got insurance.
That's right. Yeah, I had Fish round here, John. Mr. Fish, he was round here today for a coffee and a catch up. Yeah, so he said to say hello.
Hey, and, I've just been editing a video from a ride with him the other day, actually.
Yeah, he said he's been out with you quite a bit. Nice one. Yeah, I need to come and do some off roading with you. If you take me under your wing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can even borrow a bike.
Well, you're on. Moto Guzzi?
No, that one doesn't play that.
What's that one you've got in the background then? What one is that this summer?
This one here is my Beta 390RR. It's a four-stroke enduro bike. I've had it lowered to make it fit me a little bit better. So actually, that one's more manageable for me than my adventure bike.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, well, one, because the power is a little bit more manageable, but because it's like this wide, and because it's low, I've had it lowered 2 inches and stuff like that. I can easily get my feet down on that. Whereas on my adventure bike, I'm on tippy toes, even if it's just it's about that much too tall for me, my adventure bike.
Now, you're fairly handy off-road, are you not? You play it down a lot, but I mean, I've seen pictures of you like I used one of the pictures, I think, for this.
And to be honest, that was when I didn't know any better.
Was that death and glory days?
That was literally the first time I'd ever been off-roading. And it was taken about 12 years ago or something like that.
Right.
I was drunk, and my friends were talking to me about going on a Yamaha off-road experience at Golden Bomb, which is down locally to us, a motocross track locally to us. And I was like, yeah, I'm not interested. I like road bikes. I like going fast. I like grip and all that sort of stuff. And I got down there with a really baggy head. I mean, I was really not in the mood for a bright sunlight and all that sort of thing. And I saw these little Yamaha off-road bikes. And I was like, oh my God, they're the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And I paid 180 quid or whatever it was, and I took part. And the first part of the morning was horrific because I had a hangover from hell. But by the end of the day, I was jumping 2 meters up in the air on the tabletops and stuff like that. And I was like, This is amazing. But I just didn't know that was not what you should be doing the first time you're riding a dirt bike, which is why it worked out for me. Had I known, I'd have died.
And do you still do that now?
I've never done anything that high since. I have been back to Golden Barn. I bought on the back of that off-road day. I went out 2 weeks later and bought myself a brand new KTM 254 stroke off-road bike. And it wasn't the right bike for me. I never really got on with it, but I did a few sort of motocross practice days and stuff like that. I actually took part in a couple of enduros unsuccessfully as well. But yeah, I never gelled it. I didn't quite get what I was doing because I had no one to mentor me. And I gave up on it because my second KTM that I bought got stolen.
Right.
And it broke my heart. I nearly gave up biking altogether on that, to be honest.
Did you?
Yeah. It just broke my heart. Because they stole it from my house. It wasn't like it was from the high street or anything like that.
Yeah.
Hence why this one's in the house.
Yeah, I understand that. It's still rife a wee bit at the moment. Sorry to interrupt there, but it's still quite rife, isn't it? I've had quite a few people in the last week contacting me from all over the country. Like either they've had a bike nicked or somebody they know has had a bike nicked, just asking to share it and stuff. There's loads going on at the moment.
It's horrible. Anyway. When the closer you are to London, I think the worse it kind of gets. Although I think Edinburgh's the capital for it at the moment. It
is, yeah. I was up there recently and they were saying that. Like, it's ridiculous, as in like every hour or something there's a bike being nicked. It's like a pandemic.
It makes me wonder if there's something that maybe the government, local mayors and stuff could do.
But I don't know what they could do though. Like I don't.
Well, they can't afford to put more police on the beat, can they? So that's not something you could expect.
No.
But they just need to start bringing back chopping hands off and stuff like that for theft, don't they?
Do you know what? I've had this discussion with so many people over the last 12 months, and that there just doesn't seem to be any consequence for people's actions anymore. Whether that's people being chopsy in comments on social media, there's no repercussion. That's why people are so vile at times, because nothing's ever going to happen. Through to like just traditional antisocial street crime, just kids shouting, or not even kids, people swearing and acting up out in the street in front of people, nicking stuff, damaging stuff. There's just no repercussions for people anymore.
I remember being an absolute dickhead when I was a lad, and always getting in bother with the local bobby, not like proper bother, but like get round the ear type thing. And that was good. We had a local bobby who his father and his grandfather and all that were all bobbies, and he actually used to wear his grandfather's cape, like the old cape thing. Stuff when he was out on the beat. He was loaded. He'd inherited loads of money somehow or whatever, and he just wanted to be a policeman. And he was a really good one, because he'd go around and give you a kick around the ear when you'd done something stupid, and you'd respect him, and you'd not give him any lip because you realised he was a good one. And there was just like a harmony. It's like when you did something stupid, you expected a repercussion, so you generally didn't do something too stupid.
Aye.
Now,
and when you got taken back to your mum and dad's or whoever it was that was looking after you, they'd give you a clip round the ear as well, wouldn't they? And it's just like now, I know from first-hand experience, I remember nicking a young kid, 14-odd-year-old kid, and he had a big old knife on him.
Jeez.
So he got nicked, and I think I had to go around his house or something. We couldn't contact his mum, so I had to physically go around there and tell her what had happened. And when I got round there, she just point blank refused to believe that he had a knife on him, and I must have planted it. So our good little lad, and you're like, this wee lad had loads of previous, and you're like, Jesus, there's just. How do you win with this? Do you know what I mean? It's like things seem to have changed so much.
People, his generations have allowed it to happen, and that is everyone else's fault apart from their own. I mean, again, it's going into nuclear war, isn't it? We're getting on that sort of political subject of there's no answer because you'll upset someone somewhere along the line with whatever you say.
Absolutely. So we'll draw a discreet veil. What's that?
I like your T-shirt there, Bruce.
Oh, MC, yeah. There we are. There, yeah. I had Sam. Sam came away to Scotland with me, actually. He was away on tour with us in Scotland the other week. Yeah, it's great. It's a nice little shaft, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. We'll give that a little shout out there, folks. That's at it's Route 1066 CAF. Yeah, they've got a wee shop right behind the CAF over on Hastings. Is that the A21, isn't it? It's on the
I can't remember the name of the road, but they sell good fry up there. So while you're deciding what Krieger stuff to buy from them, you can fill your belly too.
That's right, and they do some bike nights and stuff. I think they've had the last bike night now for the season, but it's still. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, yeah, it was just a great.
Yeah, but it's still, the CAF's open all year round and the shop's open all year round. So make sure you pop in, and if you go to the CAF, make sure you pop through into the shop as well. They've got a good range of kit in there. Anyway, that's my little plug done. Right, Pete, how about we crack on with questions, because there are a lot of questions. You are a popular man, mate.
That's not true.
Honestly, there is a lot of questions here. So.
Cool.
First off, we'll go across onto the clan over on Patreon, patreon.com/TeapotOne. Excuse me. First question, Chris Kemp. Hey guys, hope you're all good. What would be your best and worst places to be accidentally locked in overnight? Oh, that's a good one. I thought this was going down the best place to ride, worst place to ride. I like this. Accidentally locked in overnight.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Well, some of the bars I went to when I was in the Navy in my early days, that was a big, great cruise liner, that was. But I won't tell you what we got up to in those.
So that would be the place to be locked in. That's the one you want to be. Yeah.
Although I love castles, so I would quite happily be locked in a castle for an indefinite period of time, as long as it wasn't the dungeon.
Yeah. What about ghosts?
Yeah, bring them.
Do you believe in them?
No. I don't mind being scared. I don't believe in them, but I don't mind being scared by the idea of them. Does that make sense? I think
yeah, no.
I mean, I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in lots of things. But it doesn't mean that it wouldn't scare the crap out of me if Jesus come down and gave me a slap on the ear for being a twat.
Have you heard? I've told my ghost story on here before. Have you heard that?
Don't think so.
Right. For those people who've heard this before, I do apologise, but I'm going to go through it and I'll try and be as quick as I can. Back in the day when I was at uni, I was a bouncer in Glasgow, and in the club, part of your duty at the start of your shift and the end of your shift, you had to open and lock the fire exits for the whole club. So the club that I worked in, it had 3 clubs within it, 3 distinct levels, and the very top one was called the attic because it's right up in the top. And the fire exit inside in the attic off the dance floor was just one of those traditional fire exit doors, you know, with a bar, you push the bar and it opens. And then it just went to a staircase, and it just went to this totally bricked in staircase. It was about 5, 6, 7 flights all the way down to the bottom. And it's about maybe 6 to 8 feet wide, totally bricked in either side. You go down some steps, landing, down some steps, landing, down some steps, landing, like that, all the way down, totally bricked in. The only ways in are from the very top and the very bottom. And it's got like emergency lighting in it as well. So you could see. So I've started my shift. I've gone up there and I've booted open the fire exit from inside the club, and I'm walking down the stairs. I've probably gone down 2 or 3 flights, and these 2 guys just came towards me. Like as I'm coming down, they sort of came along the landing and started to walk up the stairs. And they were wearing like the Untouchables, you know, 1930s gangster type clothing, big long trench coats with the hats like that. And they had the hands in their pockets and their heads down. So the rim of their hats covered their eyes. I could see like the lower jaw, but they couldn't see the eyes. And I was like, oh, guys, how'd you get here? Like that. Well, I can't remember. I shouted something at them anyway, like, who are you? And they started to look up. And then one of my mates from up above, I think it was my mate Andy Kearney, he was like, big man, you all right? So I turned round. I was like, Andy, get down here. There's 2 geezers. So he's come running. I've turned round. They've gone. So my mate came running down to me, and I was like, we must have left the fire exit open. There's 2 geezers here. So we ran all the way down the stairs. We get to the bottom, and it's still chained shut. The padlock, the fire exit is still like chained shut with a length of 4x2 across it, a big chain and a padlock on it. So he's looking at me like I'm a nutter. And I was like, there were 2 guys there. So we've unchained it, opened out onto the car park, had a look around, obviously nothing, thought nothing else of it. Later on in the night, we're on the door, and one of the managers is down with us, and Andy goes to the manager. He says, oh, you might want to watch the big man tonight. I think he's been smoking something. So we told him the story, and the manager just went, oh, yeah, those 2, yeah, the cleaners see them all the time. And we were like, whoa, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, the place is full of it. You know, there's the cleaners say they see all sorts in here. And it turns out this club used to be called the Locarno. I think you can Google it. It was a big dance hall. Glasgow was quite famous for the dance halls back in the day. So it was an old dance hall back in the day then. So who knows, man? I don't know. I didn't believe in any of that. I didn't believe in any of that, but I saw 2 guys plain as day. They weren't floating. They weren't see-through. It was 2 guys, and then they just disappeared. So
magic.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Glasgow is one of those places that there's always a slightly dodgy feel to the place in the dusk hours and stuff, isn't there?
There's a lot of history in Glasgow.
But yeah, exactly. A lot of history and stuff with the Razor gangs and all that sort of stuff. It's fascinating. It is fascinating. So, like, to have a spooky experience from that sort of era is probably the only kind of spooky experience you're going to get in Glasgow, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
If you go further back in time, there's all sorts of awfulness has happened, isn't there?
Definitely. And I think the more you're open about this and talk about it to people, you'd be amazed at how many other people step forward and go, actually, yeah, I've got a bit of a story. You know, and like I've chatted to people in my old job about this, and the amount of people that stepped forward and said, oh, I saw something at Downing Street has so many different alleged ghosts in there. Like there's a wee girl there's like a 5-6 year old girl that hangs about as you go into Downing Street. through the big number 10 door. On your left is a wee corridor, and then under like a door under the stairs, you go through that and it takes you down to the canteen, you know, like sub-basement canteen. And this wee girl allegedly hangs around on those stairs, and the amount of guys who were just like, yeah, there she is there, and she just takes you by the hand and will walk you down the stairs, you know, and it's just like real, but they're so blasé about it when they talk about it. Oh yeah, I saw such and such there again. It's like, oh my God.
Wow.
So I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. My mum was a big believer in it. I have not got a clue.
I think if I was to see, seeing is believing and all that sort of stuff, isn't it? If I was to see something that completely I could not explain, then I'd be more inclined to believe that. But then I'd be completely bricking myself about, oh my God, maybe I was wrong about the atheism and all that sort of stuff.
Do you know, I find, I don't know about you, but I was a total atheist, didn't believe in any of that. Everything was very black and white to me. And then in the last sort of 10 years, I've definitely changed. And I'm not saying, I don't believe there's a big white bearded geezer sat on the clouds in white robe. Yeah, it's me. Yeah. I don't believe in that.
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah. But part of me just thinks, there must be something else. There's got to be something more to it. There has to be. There's got to be something more to this.
I mean, I was brought up as a Catholic to start with, then Church of England, and then whatever I was in the Navy. I'm not quite sure. They just made us go to the church. Sort of
yeah.
But then, as I've got older, I've sort of moved away from it, and I'm more scientist, not Scientology, but more science based in my belief. Yeah. And I just think it's a complete freak that humans have made it to where we are. The fact that I'm sitting on a chair, this thing that I'm sitting on is just a pure freak of nature. Yeah. Every dice roll happened to get to this point in time where I'm sitting here speaking to you over the internet.
But have you heard like there's so many different, not conspiracy theories, but there's so many different like theories out there about how we got to where we are, as in, obviously, there's the whole alien thing. Have you heard about that? Like,
well, like the Egyptians and the Incas and stuff.
Yeah, but like how did?
It wouldn't surprise me if there was some great reset in the past. I mean, I've sort of seen some of the conspiracy theories of the Egyptian stuff and some of the tech that they had and some of the ways they were doing things. We're only just learning how to do now. So we're about to do this new reset, which is what COVID and Russia and all that sort of stuff are about.
But again, is that it, or is that just what? I mean, the powers that be. Again, this is all conspiracy bollocks, isn't it? Is there like this outer group of people who have overall control, or is that just a load of tosh and we just do our thing? But I mean, we never get fed the truth. I know that for sure. You're never fed the truth. Or if it looks like you might be getting fed the truth, someone else comes in and sort of swerves you away from it, doesn't it?
The only truth you get is to distract you from the bigger truth they don't want you to hear.
It feels like that. But I don't want to be one of those blooming tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy
theories. I'm absolutely 100% with you. I hate all that. But actually, the more I think about things and the more news I watch. I mean, I got rid of my telly years ago. I don't do media at all other than through YouTube and social media and stuff.
I'm the same. I don't either.
When I'm at work, I put the telly on for an hour a day at most and watch the news on that, just because current affairs with Ukraine and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm concerned about that, so I don't mind watching that. But I don't care who the Prime Minister is. I don't care what's going on in London or even in Crawley where I live, because I can't change it. If I can change it, tell me about it. Let me know what I can do to fight that. If I don't like it, support it if I do like it. Yeah. But if it's stuff I have no say over, just let me go around the bike.
See, I used to think like that, and then I came round to when I was in the old bill, I came to the sort of line of thought of, well, you know, I've got a responsibility. I've got a personal responsibility to have my say and to challenge what I don't think is right. Well, ultimately, that was my whole job. Was, you know,
I mean, you had a duty to do that.
Yeah, and I used to think that, you know, my vote would make a difference.
Yeah.
And the more time I spent in those circles, in that diplomatic sort of arena, listening to all these cretins laughing and joking and not giving a flying fajita about anybody else, to be perfectly honest, I did start to become quite jaded about it all and just think, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you vote.
Like when we did that referendum that we're not allowed to talk about because it makes everyone go 50% murder, 50% joy. I was lucky because I had my old landlord's proxy vote, and he voted in the opposite direction as me. So I voted in and out.
Did you?
Yeah.
Cancel it all out.
Yeah,
I mean,
completely pointless venture me going down the vote office for that one.
Yeah, Jesus, we've got into politics, haven't we? We said we wouldn't do that. Politics and religion, actually, we've smashed both the two things that we said we weren't going to talk about.
What's the other one that we're not supposed to talk about?
Politics, religion, and oh God, I don't know. Politics, religion.
Did you spill my shandy?
Did you spill my shandy? What?
It's all that pub talk, isn't it?
You looking at me? Right, okay. Did we cover, right, so your best place would be some of the places you spent in the Navy, which we can't talk about. What's the worst place? What was that? Was it a castle?
No, that was also a best place. To be honest, I'd go with the class because, I mean, like, I don't think it would end well. I'd probably be quite itchy if I spent too much time in some of the other places. The castles for the best place. Castles for the best place, and for the worst place, that period when you're one of our submarines. When I come back from sea, we got quarantined because we came down with DMV.
Yeah.
So we'd done our patrol, and then everyone got sick on the way home. So we'd been away 3 months under the water for 3 solid months. And we come back all ready to go home and all that. Then every single one of us quarantined on that submarine, not allowed to leave it for 2 weeks. So it's like being in purgatory. So we're alongside. We could see freedom, but we couldn't have it. And if that would be where I'd not want to be ever again, because you've got so much joy of money that you've saved while you've been at sea, and all motorbikes you want to buy and all that sort of stuff, but you just can't do it. And you're just forever on board that submarine. Yeah, that would be the worst place for me.
Oh, God.
Being at sea is fine. Being at sea is fine, but being alongside and not being able to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, the bit in the middle, yeah.
What about you?
Best place for me? Sheesh. Best place to be locked in overnight. I think the best place for me to be locked in overnight would be in a bar somewhere with my mates. Just my mates. That would be great. Have a great time. I like that. I like social stuff.
Did I tell you I've got my own pub?
I heard, actually. Yes. Fish was telling me all about this. Yeah, we need to chat about that. You've got proper chillers and everything, haven't you?
I've got a fridge. I mean, I don't chill.
Fish made it out like you've got like a full-on proper pub with chilled kegs and everything.
No, it's not quite that. I mean, it looks good, but it's not quite that.
Right, okay. Worst place for me to be accidentally locked in overnight. Do you know, it would be not so much locked in, but if I was left at sea just treading water overnight. I've got a thing about like being on the surface in the sea.
Right.
Like not in a boat, but just treading water. It scares because of Jaws, it just scares the living crap out of me. But I'd love to be underwater and like cage dive with great whites. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do it.
No.
But it's the thought of being on the top and not being able to see underneath me that scares the living daylights out of me.
Did you ever used to watch Howard's Way, or was that before your time?
Yes. No, I remember that.
I remember Howard's Way. And at the time, my dad had a boat which used to belong to Bobby G.
All right.
No, that's a claim to fame.
Bobby G? Who's Bobby G?
Bucks Fizz.
Oh.
It was a rubbish boat. I mean, I think it was before he got famous because it wasn't a good boat, but it was rubbish. But anyway, he got some water skis and stuff like that, and he wanted to teach us to water ski.
Yeah.
But previously, I'd watched the Howard's Way episode where one of the guys had jumped in the water to go water skiing and got run over by a speedboat and decapitated by the propellers. And I would not go in that water. And my dad would not turn the engines off from his boat because he was scared of them not starting again. That's how good this boat was. And when the engines are running on and out, the propeller just sort of spins round. Just it turns round. It doesn't do anything, but it turns round. And if you were to put your hand on it, it would probably stop.
Right.
But me being some 9-10-year-old kid at the time or whatever, that was like no.
Howard's Way. I remember Howard's Way. I used to play the piano when I was wee, and I remember learning the Howard's Way theme tune on the piano.
Cool.
Couldn't play it now.
I can't play the triangle.
Right. Cheers for that one, Chris. Next one, Lee Vigar. How you doing, Lee? Hope you're both well. Top man, another YouTuber I follow. My first question, what's your number one biking road? There we go.
To me, there's two. There's two that are my favourite in the UK, and possibly they're rose-tinted spectacles because I loved them at the time. They were my like little freedoms when I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
One is down in Torpoint, and it goes between Torpoint and Loo. It was known as the Torpoint Twisted. And that's just amazing. And back then, we were proper headbanging on at the pace we were riding at. I had a Gixxer Case 7 750 at the time. And it was a beast. Have we fallen over because you've frozen?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, cool. Okay. It was an absolute beast. And the twists and turns along that road, I wouldn't say I could do them blindfolded, but I mean, it was. I was knee down in the wet along there. I knew the road that well. Then my other escape to freedom was up in Faz Lane, Helensburgh area. Uh-huh. It's the lock road between HM Naval Base Clyde and Arrakar, and then up to Oban. And that little lock road where it just follows, like it's like humpback, but it's like being on a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The amount of times I did that, I had a Husqvarna supermoto up there. And I used to have to strap a jerry can to the back because I could barely make it to the petrol station from the naval base without running out of fuel. But yeah, I loved riding in Scotland. But that little road there was just amazing. It was just like my little fun place.
Yeah, my favourite's up in Scotland as well. Actually, now, well, I've got two. There's one in Spain in the Picos, and then there's another one in Scotland. I can't remember the road name, but it's the only main road up in the northwest, and it takes you into Sutherland all the way up to the top. I just love that road. Just for the road, the scenery, it's just gorgeous. I love it. It's great.
Scotland just got some of the best riding. You just can't beat it, can you?
I'd forgotten.
Well, you've done Europe a bit more, haven't you? So you've experienced some nice weather and nice roads.
Yeah, and I used to think Scotland was good, but there's better out there. But having just done it 2 weeks ago, I was blown away by how good not only was the riding, but the scenery.
Yeah, and the road surface is good because, like
most places,
the amount of cars per mile of road is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I was just blown away. I've still got to edit it, and going by my current standards, it's probably going to be about 5 months before I actually edit the video. But I was just constantly going, oh my God, this is amazing. Like it was just stunning. Everything about the place. I was just like, holy shit, I don't remember it being this good. It was awesome.
I remember riding through Cheddar Gorge and thinking, oh my God, I was like breathless looking at the scenery. Yeah. But when you're up in Scotland, you can do that and you're not in the 30 mile an hour limit. Yeah. And it's just the best of everything. You get to ride briskly. I mean, you can't go hell for leather, can you? Because
60 miles an hour, obviously, yes.
And there's sheep and things to worry about.
Yeah, deer, golden eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, Scotland is incredible riding.
Absolutely. Second question from Lee. Second question, with NASA heading to the moon 50 years later, do you believe we ever landed there 50 years ago? Fact or fiction? Oh, here we go. Conspiracy theories. Did we land on the moon?
I have to believe it because I love space. I love space travel. I would sign up to do a one-way trip.
Wow.
I honestly would. I would go, as long as I had all the things I like. Admittedly, I wouldn't be able to bring motorbikes unless we had a moon bike or a space bike or something like that.
How cool would that be?
A space bike, a speeder bike.
Speeder bike, yeah.
That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, a while ago, Lynx did a competition where you could win a trip into outer space or something like that, and you had to be in the top 2% or something of sharing the. Just giving them free advertising, basically, and just spamming with your friends until they get sick of you. And I was like in the running for this for about 3 months, where I was just like, literally, this is what I want to do with my life. I've driven a nuclear submarine. I've fallen out of an aeroplane. I want to blooming go to space. And everyone had my back. They even though they were sick of me and absolutely fed up with it, they kept sharing and sharing and sharing. And
I didn't see this.
It was a while ago. It was off the Lynx cans or Axe, whatever they call it in America and stuff. But this is the trouble, is that because it was such a lucrative prize, people were cheating. Yeah. And I just got so fed up with fighting the cheats and still doing well. And I mean, it's one of the things that probably made me better at Facebook than some of the other social medias, is because I learned how to manipulate people on it and make them do my guidings.
Sorry, mate, I just erupted my can of beer.
It's cool. I'm a bit concerned because my gin is about to finish and I'm about to go on to my fizzy pop.
Yeah, sorry about that. The can just exploded everywhere.
Never apologise for beer.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. I want to believe that we did do it. I would hate to think that such a historical, monumental step in the history of our existence was made up. I would hate to think that. So, Hobgoblin. Oh, nice. Somebody else drank that on here. Who was that? Can't remember who that was. Somebody else has had Hobgoblin on.
Was that Maya, wasn't it?
It was what?
That Maya.
Yeah, it probably was. No, she was on wine.
Yeah,
she was drinking wine.
£38 million per glass, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. 8 litres of it in one glass, yeah.
That's probably why it cost so much. She did buy all of the wine.
Right, cheers for that one, Lee. Next one, Highland Wolf. Hi, one and all. My question would be, if you could pick any bike for a paid one-off trip, where would you be given... Sorry. My question would be, if you could pick any bike for a paid one-off trip, where would you be given any motorcycle for the trip? What would you choose? My question would be, if you could pick any bike for a paid one-off trip, where you would be given any motorcycle, what would you choose? Right, we got there eventually.
So any bike, so any trip, I assume, or as well?
Yeah, so it's a paid one-off trip, but you could have any bike to do whatever that trip is. What bike would you take?
Assume it comes with support and people to fix it when it goes wrong.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, why not?
Probably, say, a Beta 480 RR with extended petrol tank, seat concept seat, and the suspension load so I can fit it. And then to infinity and beyond.
What is that? I've never heard of it.
It's one of these, but with a bigger engine.
Wow. 480, did you say?
Yeah, so this is the 390cc, so 480cc. It's the equivalent of like the KTM 500 enduro bike. Slightly more powerful, I think, actually, or at least these days it's probably different. But I like the Betas because they come slightly lower anyway, and I don't like KTM or Husqvarna or Gas with what they're doing. It's not that I don't like the bikes, it's just I don't like what they're doing. Of just buying it all and just making them all the same, just a different colour. Right. I think Beta are the only ones left as far as I'm concerned of true, not KTMs.
Yeah, got you.
Even though in the olden days they used to have KTM engines.
Oh, so has KTM got gas as well now?
Yep. They're like doing a sort of more budget version of their bikes.
Well, I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, I think it's naughty. I mean, like in the olden days, Gatwick and where I work, they weren't allowed to be run by BA because of the Monopolies Commission. Yet this motorcycle manufacturer is quite happy to buy everything out and just put different colour plastics on the same bikes and call them a different model. Yeah. But then I guess in China they're doing exactly the same thing, aren't they? On Honda, they buy bikes, Aprilia buy bikes from China that are just other bikes with a different sticker on.
I think most bikes out there now have various components that are all made in China. Mm-hmm. Hence why they're struggling to get stock at the moment. And a lot of rubber. Well, the rubber, I think, allegedly the rubber is because of Ukraine, because apparently a lot of rubber that is used in the modern tyres actually comes from Ukraine somehow. I had no idea about that.
I'd read that. I'm not quite sure the science or maths, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I'd heard that as well. But also, again, in Russia as well, probably too. Because we're boycotting them, we're not able to buy the things from them that we used to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we bought from Russia, to be honest, apart from their gas. I don't really know what components we bought from them. But then I didn't realize a lot of our food and a lot of our rubber comes from Ukraine. I had no idea about that. Yeah. Okay. What bike would I take? Well, it'd all depend on where the trip was, wouldn't it?
It would be your ideal trip, wouldn't it?
Okay, what would be my ideal trip? Do you know, I'd love to just hit the road again. I've got real.
But maybe not on an electric bike.
Do you know what? I would.
Would you really do that trip again?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard.
Would you have a trailer with like a pod that you could just sleep in?
No. This is going to be debriefed. Alec from English Electric is coming back on the podcast in a couple of weeks, and we're going to debrief that whole trip because there were a lot of, there was a lot of interest in it, and there were a lot of negative comments on there, and a lot of people rubbing their hands because, I told you they were shit. And I've got to say, they're not shit. It's just the infrastructure absolutely was there. Yeah. I was amazed at how many charging stations there actually are all over the country, all over England, Scotland, and Wales. There's charging points almost everywhere, but they're in weird places. A lot of them. I was just following like the various apps that Google Maps basically will tell you where there's a charging point. And I was just following that and thinking, there's not a chance there's going to be a charger here. And you go around the corner down a little lane and bang, there's some chargers. And you're just like, why are they here? But there's nothing there when you get there. So if you're in a car, fair enough, you can sit in your car. Yeah. But on a bike,
you're stranded.
Absolutely. So you're sat in the rain, you're sat in the cold, or you're sat on a bike. There's no toilets. There's nothing around you.
I get out of hours, all the biker cafes and stuff like that are still going to be shut. It's going to be a thing that it is. But they really need to. I mean, like Conqueror's Apparel, or 1066, they've got an EV charge point there. I don't know if it works.
Yeah, they do have one. Yeah, it works.
And this is what every single biker cafe needs to start doing. Get one to start with until it starts having a bike on it all the time. Then get a second one and third one, because by 2035, all the people, or 2030, isn't it, now for bikes?
I think it's 35 for bikes, 30 for cars, isn't it? Is that right?
It's 30 for 125s and equivalents, isn't it?
Okay.
Because they're outlawing them sooner.
Right.
But anyway, the bigger bikes, by the time the only bikes you can buy are them, like brand new versions. Mm-hmm. Every single biker cafe needs to have as many charging points as they can get in them, because it's not going to work otherwise. And they can charge a premium for it, because it shouldn't be a free service, because we're not going to make the money on burgers and cups of tea, are they?
Well, so, they will, really, because, with the best will in the world, I don't see technology advancing in the next 10 years. I don't see technology advancing to the stage where you're going to be able to charge up in 5 minutes or even 10 minutes.
I can't wait for electric vehicles or electric bikes and cars, I guess, as well. It's for when you go on a track day, in every single garage, there's going to be a high output charge point. So that you can go there in your Energicas and equivalent superbike electric vehicles and charge up between sessions and have a full battery. I mean, if English Electric want to reach out to me and go, here's a bike, do a track day on it, I'll put it in my van with a full battery and I'll see if I can get around the circuit for the whole day if they want to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think they'd probably be better off hiring someone else who's better at tracks.
I don't know. English Electric are very open to ideas. So if you've got ideas, contact them, because they are very open to a lot of this. And I've been I wasn't surprised this time when Alec reached out and said, look, any chance I can come on a podcast to have a little chat and a debrief about what's going on? Because he was following the comments. And I think Energica themselves were a bit miffed at the amount of negative comments that
They deserve, by the fact that they let you do that when they knew that it wasn't going to be an easy thing, they deserve a platform to be able to respond to that.
Yeah, because I think that was...
They've gone, here we go, let's see if you can actually do this. And you did it. You did it.
It wasn't Energica that did that. It was English Electric. English Electric are the ones that were up for me doing it. Energica had no... They had no sort of part of it. I just used an Energica bike. I was very surprised once they knew about it that they didn't prioritise the new Xperia. I'd assumed that with the new Xperia now being out...
It's a touring version, isn't it?
It's a touring bike that's got double the range of anything else. 100% it would have been.
Fantastic platform for them to go, look at this, you can do this. I mean, it would still take longer.
Mm-hmm. But I would have got 80 to 100 miles between charges,
far more reasonable,
rather than 45 to 60.
And you could have then chosen your point. Instead of going, I have to go to this one, you could have chosen where you went to have somewhere where you can go, not just get some shut-eye when you're getting into the late hours or whatever, of days 4 or whatever it is that you're on. Yeah. But you can actually go and have a look at a castle if I was doing it, or a nice scenery point, or whatever. You can actually go and do something if I was charging, instead of just thinking, I'm here for the 10th time today.
Yeah. I would like to do it again on the Xperia. So, that I would like to approach, I'm going to approach Energica UK and just say, look, I'll do that again, and I'll do it on your Xperia. I was amazed that they didn't make one available. It was like, well, we don't have any available because they've got to go out. Yeah, they were like they've got to go out for public demos, and
you've been constantly promoting EV bikes. It's like you're kind of their perfect platform for a touring.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm a promoter of EV, but I've been riding and reviewing electric bikes since like 2018, and I do like them, but I do think there are. I did think they were quite a way off from being a viable alternative. But the Xperia, I think the Xperia showed me in the southeast anyway that the bike was now good. The bike could do the miles, and it's reasonable recharging times. But what I was finding in the southeast was the infrastructure wasn't backing that up, because I was getting places and the chargers were full or the chargers weren't working. So that made me think, oh God, this around the UK is going to be a nightmare. And I think I had maybe 2 or 3 instances where chargers weren't working or they were full, but the rest of the time I could always get to a charger. So it was, it was there was a lot of positives with it, but it was hard, really hard.
I'd like to do like a motor camping trip. I mean, obviously you probably need to do it through like proper campsites with power hookups and stuff. So, but you'd be on a 3-pin effectively on that, so you'd be slow charging. And probably slowly, even more slowly, because it's only going to be 130 volts, isn't it? Probably at a campsite.
Yeah, AC is like 4 to 8 hours.
But you could do that with charging overnight. Do it like on an Isle of Wight visit or a Channel Islands visit or something like that, where it's a small place, so you can explore it without actually having to do mega miles, and then charge up when you're at the campsite. So that's something I think would be really awesome to see from some review channels and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Do you want to do it?
I'd love to do it, but I don't think I'm big enough for them to loan bikes and stuff like that.
What about come and do it with me? We'll do an Isle of Wight trip, camping trip.
I'm definitely up for the Isle of Wight again.
On 2 electric bikes. Do you fancy that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a cracking idea, mate.
I know the perfect campsite.
Right. What, has it got a hookup? It's got of course it will be. Just
up there. It's got beautiful views. And if the Isle of Wight TT ever happens, it's right on the end of the 200-mile-an-hour start-finish straight.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I want it to. I really do.
I do, but I just don't know.
It's not. It won't happen. The Isle of Wight locals won't let it happen. All these people with these fantastic ideas and best intentions, they're not doing it, I don't believe, to rip anyone off. But having good intentions and a desire doesn't make things happen.
Yeah.
You've got to get the locals on side. And from what I've seen, the locals just don't want to know, even though it could potentially extend their holiday season, which is what the Isle of Wight makes its money on, for another 2 months.
Yeah. You saw with this year's TT, didn't you, that the negative press that is associated when, sadly, people lose their lives, which they're going to do when you're doing road racing. There's going to be accidents, and generally you're going to at least have one fatality, sadly. But that's part and parcel of it, isn't it? It's the guys and girls, they know the risk.
Look at Bootsy from 44 Teeth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, horrific what's happened to him, and everyone. I don't know anyone that's got a bad word to say about the guy, and even if they did, they'd not have a bad word to say about him now, because you love these people. They're our heroes. They're gladiators. They go out, they risk everything to give us a thrill watching on telly and stuff like that. So I love them to pieces. I mean, I'm not like a complete racing fan of what have you. I love watching the pretty bikes. That's my extent of my knowledge. It's like I love going to the World Superbikes, British Superbikes and stuff like that. But I ain't got a clue what it is. I just like looking
I'm the same. I'm the same.
And I'll quite happily spend £700 to watch it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I love the atmosphere at racing and even road racing. I don't know much about it.
I've never been to the TT. It's on my bucket. It's on my bucket list.
It's an amazing thing to witness firsthand and just be a part of that whole scene for that. Certainly for race week. I've not done practice week, but for race week, the atmosphere is just crazy. It's nuts. It's like everybody's nervous, but at the same time, everyone's like, holy shit, this is amazing. And when the bikes come by you, if you don't smile or grin when one of these bikes come by you must be dead. You've got to be dead on the inside. You have to be. It's awesome. Right, okay, so we're going to do Isle of Wight electric, yeah? Okay, right. I'll probably speak with Alec next week, actually. So,
cool.
Right, that's a good idea. Right, you're on. Let's do it.
Sweet, yeah.
I'm excited. Road trip.
I do. It's extra caffeine for me. I'm well up for it.
Right, next one. Cheers for that, Wolf. Next one, Charlie Callard. How you doing, Charlie? Evening all. Hope you're all both fit and well. 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So a couple of questions from me. Question 1. Well, they're all conspiracy ones. Question 1. Did Elvis really die when they said he did? Or did he just want some anonymity after a life of rock and roll? I think he's carked it. I think he's dead.
He could be on that double-decker bus on the moon with Hitler, couldn't he?
On the what?
On the moon with Hitler.
On the moon? Oh, Jesus. You're going down that's a YouTube rabbit hole, that is. Crikey. No, I think Elvis has carked it.
I think so too. It's one too many cheeseburgers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say that, Charlie, because I don't. Where was I? I think I was on TikTok the other day. I'd uploaded a vid onto TikTok, and there was some like conspiracy thing came up about Elvis, and they were like, "This is like Bob Smith," like in 2012 or something. Notice the mark on a chin or something like that, and then look, this is Elvis 1960s, whatever it was, same mark on his chin, and then they put them side by side, and they were like, is he really dead? It's just like, well, he'd be about 90.
Pretty wrinkly now.
Yeah. Whereas this guy was like 60. It's like,
if you eat enough cheeseburgers, as your skin, you'll get fatter, which will keep your skin tight and you won't get wrinkled.
Is that why I have such a youthful complexion? Is that what it is?
It's all them cheeseburgers.
Question 2. If you could only have one chocolate bar for the rest of your life, what would it be? Finally, a decent question. Right. One chocolate bar for the rest of your life.
It's got to be a Yorkie raisin biscuit.
I was thinking Yorkie or Lion Bar.
On the fridge. It's got to come on the fridge, so then the big chunks hurt your mouth when you put them in there.
Yes.
And then you regret that choice for the day. But actually, it's the best chocolate.
It's like a Toblerone. It's like S&M of chocolate bars.
I'm just done with Toblerone. Have you noticed how much bigger the gap between each one's got?
Yes. Right. Okay. I think we'll both settle on that. Chocolate and raisin Yorkie bar. not for girls. I don't care if I'm going to get cancelled.
I mean, they can identify as a man, and then they're allowed to.
There you go. Identify whatever you like.
Yeah.
But that one. Keep them shiny side up, says Charlie. Thank you very much, Charlie. Just a question. Oh, here we go. Next one. Mark Fulcher. Hey up, me ducks. So a couple of things to ponder over this evening. One, when making a brew, irrelevant if either left or right-handed, which way is the optimum way to stir the cuppa? I'm a clockwise sort of guy, and I must emphasise the importance of making sure the spoon clinks against the walls of the mug with the occasional scrape of the base. Your thoughts?
Well, I've mostly cut caffeine out of my diet, but when I was in the Navy, that was what we made, was brews all the time.
Constantly.
And to be honest, if you're only stirring in one direction, you're missing out.
Yeah.
You've got to go both ways. I mean, like that tea bag's got vents on both sides, and it needs to whoosh and whoosh and whoosh and whoosh. I'm sorry, but I might be overthinking. But tea bags, they would have vents only on one side if you're only supposed to stir in one way.
Are you a milk first or second guy?
I actually take joy in putting milk in second to people who like milk first.
You're a freak.
I just like annoying people.
And have you ever tried? Now, who was it? Man Cave that told me about this. Man Cave Makings. What you do there, Gus was saying, you put milk, a little splash of milk in the bottom of the cup, then you add the water and fill that up so the mug is full, the level that you want, and then you put the tea bag on the top and leave it.
That's just crazy.
And you leave it for about 5 minutes. I
mean, I can see what will happen there because you're going to get convection. Well, actually, no, because they're putting the milk underneath and the milk's cold.
Honestly,
milk will stay at the bottom.
You just let the tea bag sit on the top and it absorbs some water.
Yeah, I have to say that he's got too much time on his hands if he's willing to wait 5 minutes for his tea to brew. I mean, the whole point of stirring it is to get that thing ready to go, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not a proper cup of tea, though, that, Pete. That's not a good cup of tea. If you can't rush a cup of tea. If you make a cup of tea in a kettle, in a pot, in a teapot, you've got to let it stew. You've got to let it stew for at least 3 minutes. And I do the same with a cuppa. I let the tea bag stew. So it comes out and it's like varnished. It looks like it's from Essex when I've finished with it.
Brilliant. Orange face.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Big lips.
Yeah. That's how a cup of tea should look. I remember when I was a kid making, on Mother's Day or whatever it was, making breakfast in bed for my mum. We weren't allowed to play with the kettle and stuff like that. So we let the tea stew before we put the hot water in it, in the teapot.
Right.
So obviously that saved time, didn't it? My mum really enjoyed that cup of tea.
Yeah, I bet she did. It's just like pissy water. What is this? I'm with you on that. I definitely stir all sorts of directions, especially if there's been sugar added. I give it a damn good stir in all directions. But definitely, I'm a definite on the clink of the wall of the mug. There's got to be noise. Second question. As the Hippo boys are more inclined to the off-road sort of ridiculousness, a question. Why can't manufacturers produce a good old-fashioned, everyday enduro or road bike like the good old Suzuki DRZ 400?
Exactly.
Reliable, solid, go-anywhere sort of machine that was more than affordable and equally enjoyable. Overpriced, underpowered modern machines aren't worth a blow on a ragman's trumpet, in my opinion.
This is the trouble, isn't it? You've got like the likes of KTM's Beta and all that sort of stuff, which are service them every 3 seconds and ride them until they go bang. Although my Beta is very reliable. Buy Beta, don't buy KTM. Sorry, KTM.
That's you struck off.
I think I was well and truly struck off there this long time ago when I had my 390 Jeep. I didn't sing praises. But what we need is, it doesn't need to be air-cooled because obviously that's a thing of the past. That's for dinosaurs to drive around on. It doesn't need to be carb because, again, dinosaurs. But fuel injection is now easy peasy for manufacturers to make. They're even making oil-injected 2-strokes again now. So, I mean, we've got the technology to make amazing motorcycles, but apparently the manufacturers don't want to make the bikes for the people that want these bikes. A DRZ 450 or 500 with a liquid-cooled engine, if KTM can bring an enduro bike out, I know they've got different rules because they're enduro bikes and stuff, which allows them to be non-Euro 5 and things like that. But I mean, like my Beta out, my previous Beta, the one before I got this one here, that had carbs. It was a Suzuki DR350 engine, but the bike's been outlawed. They can't make it anymore. They're not allowed to. But that bike was amazing. It wasn't fast, but it would go anywhere, and it actually would do road stuff far better than that would.
Would it? What about the Honda CRF then?
It's a good bike, but they in my opinion, what they should have done with they brought the 450 out briefly, and it flopped, so they got rid of it. What they should have done is done that in the same way they've done 300 or 250.
The road and the rally style.
Yeah, with long service intervals.
Yeah.
I think they just got it wrong with that. They brought it out and only had like 25 brake horsepower or something like that. That was a 450 or something. So it needed to have more horsepower than the 250 and 300. So it needed more than what it had. But they needed to sort of valve service and oil change. I think the valve service was okay, but the oil change was over 600 miles.
Is it?
And yeah. On the
was it? Sorry? Yeah.
So you basically, you're servicing it once a month if you ride it as a daily. And that's providing you've only got a short commute. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my CB100 that I've got, I have to do an oil change on that every 1,500 miles. And that's not even an off-road bike. That's just a commuter bike. But it's 40 years old.
But do you not think that, I mean, it certainly seems to me there are a lot more people turning to the likes of the Honda CRF 300 now. There's a lot of people getting themselves... It's because they've got nowhere else to go. Yeah, just for green laning, just for going off-road.
The trouble is maybe the bike manufacturers are seeing the death of green laning, certainly in the UK, because before, I mean, every opportunity they get, they're trying to take lanes away from us. Because
down here, though.
Well,
down here
they are. Scotland, they don't have any. You can't off-road in Scotland legally. I mean, you can, but you've got to prepare to face the wrath if you get caught.
Yeah. So still plenty of places in North England and Wales you can go off-road.
Those, but Wales is good. Wales is one of the few places that you can actually go and do it. And it's harder for them to take it away from us because these are rural roads, and farmers and stuff like that need these roads, so they stay open for four-wheel vehicles or whatever, which means that motorcycles who don't tear up the tarmac or tear up the dirt as much are allowed to use them still. But down south, because every Conservative MP's got a little holiday home in Babbinger or Shear or Hampshire or whatever, down by every green lane, they don't want us near them because we're noisy, inconsiderate people.
Yeah, is that where electric could come in then?
Well, actually, I was speaking to another friend of mine, Big Pezza, who's another chap I ride with. He was my mentor for green laning. Fantastic channel, fantastic guy. But I think it was him I was speaking to. And it was like saying, the horse riders don't want us on electric vehicles because then they can't hear us.
Yeah.
So we'll come round a corner, all of a sudden, and their horse, they've not prepped their horse for the noisy thing. I mean,
so they'll be startled.
Yeah, and that's going to see so many accidents, and that will, I think, be the deathbed for green laning, at least down this way for us.
Because I know a few. That's an argument that has been put forward by electric, is that it would be a pro for off-roading here in the UK.
Fine, but then they've got to make sure they've got a horn so you can alert people. You need one of those comedy clown horns, don't you? So you're not offensive or upsetting.
Yeah. Something like that.
But yeah, I mean, we're seeing it more and more on the trails where, like, the electric mountain bikes. Now, instead of coming down the trails at 15 miles an hour, like they were when they were self-propelled, they're coming down at 30.
Yeah.
Because with their pedal assists, they're just able to get up so much faster speeds. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them have turned some of these things into race mode or whatever it is that you do with them.
Turned it up to 11.
Yeah. And this is the thing, they're noticing that these are coming through. They can't stop because they're just a mountain bike with skinny little tyres and rubbish brakes, but they're doing 30 miles an hour, which is the speed I'm doing on a noisy internal combustion engine that they hear coming, whereas they don't hear that coming. And there's normally six.
That makes total sense, mate. Yeah, that does make total sense, actually. Oh, God, I don't know.
But it's annoying because I hoped that the electric revolution was going to be the saviour.
Yeah.
But the horse riders, and they're, to be honest, the only people on green lanes, other than myself, that I love the most are horse riders. Not saying I love myself the most, but what I mean is the ones I respect the most is the horse riders. One, because they're on an animal that doesn't deserve to feel any pain or scaredness, because I love horses. I've got a big thing for horses. I love them to bits. They can get hurt. We can get hurt by their horse getting scared.
Yeah.
And every single green lane I've been on, except for on a couple of occasions, the horse riders have been the most respectful of us and accepting of us. But then I guess I ride in a way that encourages that.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, isn't it?
I know lots of people. There was a channel that started trying to promote his videos on the TRF website and got shut down incredibly fast because he was riding like an absolute turd, being just a complete
bellend.
Yeah. And they weren't riding with number plates. They were riding fast. They were going off piste. All that. So they're literally doing all the things that you shouldn't be doing to encourage people to love us. Yeah. And then wondering why the police are chasing them.
Yeah, you're always going to get throbbers, aren't you? And unfortunately, it's the throbbers that are going to spoil it for everybody.
I mean, maybe they think I'm the throbber because I'm just too by the rules for it. But I want to enjoy this for years and years to come. Yeah. So I'd much rather do it at 25, 30 miles an hour than at 60 miles an hour for 2 minutes and then get banned.
No, I get you. There's logic in it. There's places where you can go if you want to do that, though, isn't there? You go to
a practice
one of the enduro actual circuits. Right, okay. Third question from Fulch. Having just been to Cadwell this weekend for the BSB round, attendance was up on the Monday at around just over 50,000, compared with MotoGP at Silverstone, where the Sunday attendance was just over 40,000. Is it about time they moved the GP British round back up north, made it more accessible and promoted family attendance? Just to compare, an adult ticket for Cadwell was 33 quid. Kids are free up to 15, I believe, and OAPs, like my dad, need need shooting. I mean, they're on a reduced ticket admission fee. MotoGP is up near 90 quid a ticket, and then there's everything else that goes with it. Parking, overpriced Kenko and butties. Rant over, apologies. Right, okay, so moving the British round of the MotoGP, moving it up north. So I take it you're meaning to somewhere like Cadwell. Is that what you mean? And I suppose that in its... Well, I know some of the logic behind this, as in why it doesn't happen. It's because the likes of Silverstone, they actually have to pay to host the MotoGP. MotoGP doesn't pay a circuit to host them. The circuit pays MotoGP to host them. And there is like a huge overhead which they have to cover. Like Silverstone, I don't know what they covered this year. I mean, 40,000 is bugger all. Previous years, you're talking a lot more than that. And I know in previous years, they've covered their overheads. That's it. They've not really made much of a profit. So if you wanted the MotoGP to go up to the likes of Cadwell because they could accommodate the crowds that you're going to get, Cadwell would have to fork out a ridiculous amount of money, which then in turn would mean they'd have to increase the ticket costs.
Cadwell also has no facilities, as in garages. So MotoGP, I mean, I'm not calling them prima donnas, but they're prima donnas. They want the best. Cadwell also couldn't handle it. The bikes that they've got are too fast. Cadwell is one of those tracks which is amazing. I mean, it's my first track that was on Cadwell. Very nearly my last, probably back there. But
on the mountain?
No, up on Pot Corner or High Side without on my exit. It was all right. It was the last lap of the last session, so I didn't waste the day.
That's all right then.
Yeah, it's fine. But Cadwell, especially around the woodland part of it, the tight, skinny bit, which is like
the go-kart bit.
Pavement, it's too tight and there's no runoff. So the fast speeds that the MotoGP guys can do, I'm surprised it's not been stopped for the superbikes. I love Cadwell. I think it's one of the best circuits in the country, but it hasn't got the facilities, hasn't got the circuit. It's like Mallory. Mallory's a fantastic circuit, but it couldn't cope with having MotoGP there.
You're right.
It's like you're saying about Silverstone. It's a nice big circuit. So they're not getting the people there. And this is the problem. No one's interested in it because it's not promoted properly. Because biking is a dying breed. We are dying now. It's why Harley Davidson is struggling with its business model, is because everyone is just getting older and no new people are coming in.
But do you not think there's a much younger crowd coming in now? I look around on socials and there's a definite increase in the younger biker, the younger sort of crowd, mid-20s, mid-30s. That crowd is definitely coming through.
Definitely, as in there are a lot of people coming in now at a younger age because there's bikes accessible to people at the moment that are affordable, which weren't there in the past because you didn't have a lot of the Chinese bikes or the Royal Enfield and stuff being sort of out of the budget-friendly side of things. But people that buy a budget bike aren't necessarily going to be into the racing in the same way because they're not buying. I mean, you can't buy a super sport bike anymore for the road. So what can you buy for the road that's a super sport?
The R7, is that not available publicly?
But the R7 is a twin. It's not super sport. It's what they're trying to tell us is super sport. It's got 70 horsepower, whereas in a 675 or a CBR 600 had 120 brake horsepower. Yeah. So it's almost half the power. Don't get me wrong, I think the R7 is a cracking motorcycle. The same with the Aprilia RS 660, which has got 100 horsepower, so it's a little bit closer. But these are different bikes. They need their own class, and they do. They've got super called Super Twins. I think is the class that fits them. But the only manufacturer producing a 600cc inline 4 is Yamaha, and that's a track-only bike. I think.
True.
I might be wrong with that.
True. Yeah, very true. I was trying to think.
By the way, how does this podcast work? Is this live on your podcast now?
No.
Can I go to the toilet?
Of course you can. No problem at all. We'll see you in a bit, folks. Yeah, no worries. Take a break. Time for a quick shout out to this week's sponsors, who are Innov. Now, Innov specialise in motorcycle dashcam systems. You'll probably seen the vids on my channel. They've got the single camera, the C5. They've got dual camera, which are the K series, the K3 and the K5. K3's 1080, K5's 4K front, 1080 rear. Both the K3 and K5 have an external mic, which you can even wire up into your helmet and vlog with if you want. If you look at my California Superbike School Day vids, the audio, the onboard audio is all via the Innov K5 system. They've also got GPS tracking. They've got an external remote so you can lock footage as you go. They'll do that automatically anyway, should they detect any sudden movement. They've got parking modes on them, so when that's activated, even when your bike is left unattended and switched off, say you're a bike calf or park it up in a town or something like that, if the bike moves at all, then it'll automatically kick in and it'll start recording. So hopefully you'll get that car that hits your bike or anyone that does anything to your bike. As long as they're in front of those cameras, you'll capture them. Great system, folks. Invaluable in terms of any accidents for insurance, because the first thing your insurance is going to ask is there CCTV or witnesses? And if you have one of these Innov systems fitted, then you're covered. Providing you're in the right, you're totally covered. Well worth getting, folks. Head to the link down below. I've got the Innov UK website link down below. So if you're listening to the show notes, check that out. If you're watching the vid, have a look look in the description. It is a referral link that just lets Inov know you've come from me, which helps me massively in terms of the sponsorship. It shows them they're getting bang for their buck. If you use the code TEAPOT, TEAPOT, then you'll get, I think it's 5% off any of the Inov cameras. And if you use the link to the Technologic website, they're the one that do like the DC1 and XV1 helmet cameras. If you use the code TEAPOT, you'll get 5% off them as well. So a huge thank you to Inov for all their support. We are also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Ultimate Add-ons, they specialize in mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for bikes, for push bikes, that sort of stuff. They provide dustproof, drop-proof, really rugged cases for your phones, as well as a multitude of different mounting solutions for those phone cases and action cameras, things like GoPros, DJIs, all that sort of stuff, Insta360s. Great bits of kit, They're great bits of kit, folks. Even when your phone is inside one of these cases, you can still use the phone, you can still use the camera, obviously as long as you keep the lens and everything clean. Great things, folks. I have never had any issues with vibration affecting my phone's camera when I use the Ultimate Add-on systems. I use the Helix strap mount. It's basically like a ratchet strap, really easy to fit. I can fit it to almost any bike I've ever taken out for a review. Great bits of kit. If you head to ultimateaddons.com and if you use the code TeapotOne10, so TeapotOne with the number 10 at the end, then you will get 10% off their range. Massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons.
Cool.
Right, we're back, folks. We're back. Yeah, I think that is a very, very valid point you made there about the sort of the new breed coming in, not really seeming to have much interest in the racing side of it. I wonder what they could do about that then.
Well, Royal Enfield, is it BSA are bringing in their own racing class, aren't they?
Yeah, that's really interesting to see BSA coming back. I'm really excited about that because the bike looks lovely. I'm glad they changed that exhaust pipe as well because I hated that. Chrissy Rouse, you know Chrissy Rouse, the BSB guy that does Chasing the Racing podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chrissy now is he's on the team with BSA to do with their distribution and things like that, the sales side of things. Yeah, that's his new job. Actually, I need to speak with Chrissy, see if I can get my hands on one, actually.
Do it.
I loved it because I rode one of the original BSAs. A pal of mine has an original was it 30s or 40s, 50s BSA that I rode, one of the classic ones that I took out. And it was great. It's a load of fun. Great fun.
When I was sort of young in my days of riding, I was very lucky that my 16th birthday present was a 50cc bike, and stuff like that. It wasn't a grand one; it was second hand, and my dad did a lot of work, I think, behind the scenes to make it roadworthy and what have you. But when I got that step in the door, so to speak. But when I was looking at getting bigger bikes, I remember going to some old bike shop in Cranley or something like that, and it was just full of oil and hydraulics and stuff and the smell in the air and all that sort of thing. And they had a BSA, it wasn't a Gold Star, I think it was a Silver Star or something like that, which wasn't the one to have, but it was like, well, that's affordable. And I'm like, well, that looks cool, because I've always liked the styling and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
But my dad was like, you can't even look after your CB100. There's no way you can look after this. And I'm like, you probably got a point.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Pete, about it's running through my head now. It's like, how can they, not that it makes any difference to me, but it's just, how can they try and appeal to a new younger market for the racing? I don't know.
I think they need to get onto the social medias better. It's all very well having MotoGP on BT Sport or whatever they're on at the moment. But more and more people I know, maybe because I'm in the circle of people that don't watch telly, more and more people are just not. Mm-hmm. And what they should have is on YouTube or things like that, where you could maybe pay you £2 to watch the race.
Yeah.
Or 10 quid or whatever to watch the weekend's racing and qualifying and stuff like that. Stick it on YouTube. It's not like social media isn't there. It's free. I mean, YouTube would love them to do it.
But you can do that. I mean, Dorna does that with MotoGP and World Superbikes in that you buy your video pass, and that allows you, either from like one round through to the whole season. You can buy a video pass and watch it online. It's not on YouTube. It's natively through their websites, I believe.
You got to be careful. It might the BBC TV license thing, don't you?
Ah. Okay.
Because that's the reason I don't have a telly, because I objected to paying 300 quid a year for a TV license.
I thought you needed a TV license even if you watch YouTube on a computer.
No. YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime, you're allowed to watch without a TV license.
Really?
iPlayer you can't. And any of the, like some of the catch-up TVs, Channel 4, I think, whatever the Channel 4 one, I think you can. But you can't do things like Now TV or anything like that, because they show... They show all the TV programs still, so you can't do anything that does what normal telly does.
Right, okay.
And that includes iPlayer, BBC iPlayer. So if you want to do YouTube, you want to do Amazon Prime, Netflix, you can save yourself 300 quid a month. Sorry, it'd be nice to say 300 quid a month. The 300 quid a year, we're not doing that. I mean, I do YouTube Premium, so I don't even get adverts on anything on YouTube now, which is great, because it means the creator gets paid, and I get to watch it ad-free. So for me, that's good value for money.
There you go, folks. That's some consumer advice. Martin, watch your face. Eat your heart out. Money-saving expert, Pete.
Yeah. And you get YouTube Music for free, which means you can stream music without adverts and stuff like that. So it's like Spotify. So in my van, when I'm driving along, I just connect my phone to my radio, and I can stick whatever tunes I want on. It's brilliant.
But I need Spotify to listen to my beloved Joe Rogan.
And your podcasts are probably on Spotify as well, aren't they?
Yeah. I listen to all my podcasts via Spotify, to be honest. But I always say, when's the video coming out? When's the video coming out? Yeah.
Because I don't have the time to do podcasts, and I like visual. I like to see things. Yeah. And I'm quite fortunate. Don't tell the bosses, to be able to, on the night shifts and the quiet shifts and stuff like that, to be able to watch a little bit of YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it's like the recent podcast you did with Maya and what was the other guy name? He was up at the ABR.
ABR.
I can't remember his name. Not Dan. I don't know. But he had the KTM with the rack packs that come off and stuff. Anyway, you did an interview.
God, I'm going to have a look. I've forgotten. Sorry, keep talking and I'll have a little look.
But anyway, I like the visual side of it. So I watch a podcast at work when it's kind of quiet and stuff like that, because I can just click pause when something happens and I need to react and do something, and it's great. Whereas the telly's on, I can't click pause on that. Well, actually, in real life you can, but at work you can't, because they don't have clever tellies and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm trying to remember his name.
I'm looking and I can't see who that would be.
I haven't got my glasses on, I can barely see.
Right, who was at ABR? Lee was there. Buddy the biker dog. He was there.
Buddy the biker dog. He's a good lad.
Yeah, he is a good lad. Average no ADV trouble.
The one before.
What, the one before? That was Man Cave Moto.
Man Cave Moto. That's who it is. Yeah,
was he at ABR?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, me and Fish spoke to him for a little bit.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Of
course he was. Yes. Of course. Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. Yes, of course. Of course he was. Yeah, I was chatting to him as well. Tony. Tony.
You're probably chatting to everyone up there, so it's hard to remember every face, isn't it?
He's a good lad. He's a really nice guy, actually.
Yeah, very nice guy. I've not heard of him before, like meeting him at the ABR, and then I saw him on your podcast. Oh, cool.
Yeah, his channel's flying at the moment. He's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of reviews and stuff like that, doesn't he? And they always do well.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah, and English Biker Dan as well. Dan's channels.
Well,
yeah, he's a lovely fella.
I felt so sorry for him up at the ABR getting swiped out.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah, he did.
He got wiped out by a guy on an enduro bike. The bloke didn't even say sorry.
Well, same thing happened to my mate Pete. You know Pete English. That's
that's who I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. He got totally wiped out. Yeah. Quite badly smashed up.
That was just quite badly as well.
Yeah. He's got it all repaired now. He did it all himself.
Pete, it was you that I meant, mate. It was you that I meant.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, that Mark. About the MotoGP thing. I mean, it's just as you said, Pete. It's just not feasible, is it, to move MotoGP round to one of the sort of BSB circuits up north, just with the facility wise. The closest one would be Donington. Yeah. And I know
Donington's a cracking circuit. It's fast.
It is.
They could possibly do the MotoGP. The trouble is, it's an MSV circuit, isn't it, Donington? I don't know if Silverstone is.
Well, again, it's from what I've heard, the last time this discussion came about, what I heard was that Donington may or may not have been a little bit reluctant to take it because of the costs involved. Yeah. So,
I remember my best racing event that I went to ever. It was back in the day. I had a Ducati Monster, a 1997 Ducati 750 Monster import. And I loved that bike and nearly killed myself going across the fields in Brands Hatch to all the muddy slosh. But it was in the middle of summer. Brands Hatch World Superbikes. It was one of the last years they did it there. Mm-hmm. Cole Fogarty had retired, but he was there doing his victory lap honours, that honour of laps and stuff like that. Susie Perry sat next to me in the grandstand. And she's still hot, but I'm older now, so she's older hot. But yeah, it was just.
We love you, Susie. We love you.
Absolutely, and I think she should bring back Kickstart, which was one of the rumours that went round on social medias for a while. But yeah, 110,000 people there.
That's crazy, isn't it?
When that's on World Superbikes, which is the subpar racing, and you can't even get half that for MotoGP in the UK. Yeah. And that's why no one's investing money in bike racing, is because there's not the audience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially now that telly is so accessible. Because, I mean, so when I go to Brands Hatch to watch the BSB, I spend most of the time in the Kentagon.
Watching it on the...
Because you can watch it better on the tellies in there. You can get pissed and you can charge your phone while doing it.
Yeah. To be honest, the TT's like that. You know, when you get to the TT, you kind of think, oh, there's going to be big screens up and stuff. There's not. You know, there's a couple of places where they have some big screens up. But generally, when you get there, you're stood or sat at the side of the circuit for, 15, 16 minutes. And then... Yeah. Occasionally you'll get some stragglers coming through in that sort of 15, 16 minute
the
lap.
Adrenaline and endorphins rushing through you as something happens. Yeah. I can't imagine that. I mean, that would be to me like going to space or speeder bikes.
It's mental. It's awesome. Just that sensation when they come by you, especially like Bray Hill, bottom of Bray Hill, they come by you full tilt, and it's just a sort of noise, like a pressure wave hits you as they go by. And you're like, oh, this is nuts. Anyway, right. Cheers for that, Mark. Next one, Harley. How you doing, mate? How's it, guys? What are the highest and lowest points of your life? Oh, sheesh. Wow. Highest and lowest points of your life.
If we're talking about exciting and literally the highest, would probably be my first solo jump out of an aeroplane.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I bet.
12,000 feet. And you've got to, you know, there's not anyone to catch you. You've got to go, yep, I'm stepping out of this perfectly good aeroplane. The adrenaline.
What a rush.
Just leaving the plane adrenaline is almost more than my heart could take. It's another reason I've stopped, because I'll probably have a heart attack or something. It's just, you can't, there's nothing that can compete to it. It's insane. It's just overdose. It's an overdose of adrenaline. It's actually why I nearly failed so many times, because I got completely overwhelmed by the experience. I've got to do all the things that you're supposed to do, like pull your parachute things. Yeah. Not on that jump. That one I did okay on. It was just the first ones that I forgot about the parachuting. But that's why you have people with you coming out of the plane to do it.
Yeah, to do it all for you.
That was the highest, literally highest, and the highest adrenaline. But actually, the day I broke my back, that was probably one of the best days of my life, because I was outside my comfort zone. I was doing something I wasn't expecting to be doing, and it was just incredible, and it opened my eyes to motorcycling and what it can be beyond just riding to the shops and back, or to Riker's Cafe or whatever like that. It just went, okay, here we can go really fast, and it doesn't hurt, although it did, but I didn't know that at the time. Yeah. It was just incredible. So I say to anyone, ignoring the fact that I had a bad day at the end, do a track day. Mm-hmm. do a track day, because you'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah, I think a track day, if you I'm going to say if you push yourself, but then you don't want to push too much, case in point, it's one of those things where a track day is probably the safest environment to experiment or just push your riding, try and advance your riding in a safer environment than you would on the road.
Yeah, but even if you're not into becoming the next MotoGP race or whatever, so you just want to ride at your own pace, but just knowing that you're not going to get a blue light behind you.
Yeah,
you've got the whole width of the road. And it's just incredible. And I can't believe that people will find excuses not to do it. I mean, I can believe it, because we all find excuses not to do things. But I just think that there is so much joy to be had by doing a track. Even if you just do it once, done it, then you've got that little buzz in the back of your mind. And I enjoyed that. What's his name? Really good TV, Dave Perry. I don't know if I'm sure you're aware of him.
He's been on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, of course he has, yeah. I mean, he did a track day, and I don't think he enjoyed it as much as he wanted to, but he did it wrong, in my opinion. He did it because he was vlogging, and he did it to vlog, and he was all about the vlog. And it stopped him being able to appreciate just the joy and the freedom of being on track for the first time. And I think even if you're a YouTuber, if you're on your first track day, unless you've got a big agenda of growing your channel, and that's more important than the enjoyment of riding bikes, turn the cameras up, leave them at home. Yeah. Do your track day. And that's what you're doing. Forget cameras. Don't even bring them for posterity.
Well, you're not allowed helmet cameras on a track day anymore, anyway, are you?
And that's the insurance in a country that doesn't have ACU and stuff. But you can still do the camera thing. You just got to do it on bike and stuff. That's why those 360 cameras are great, because you can get quite immersive with them.
You can, yeah. It's something I've not really experimented enough with. I use them, but I've certainly got nowhere near their capabilities yet. Go on.
I love the 360 cameras. I jumped on them as soon as I remember Andy Mankamp using some old ones, which were very rudimentary and basic and not very graphically pretty. And I was like, I love the concept of these. And then Insta360 came out with their invisible selfie stick slogan and all that sort of stuff. That is what I want.
Yeah.
And I started doing it like from as soon as I was able to. I think I pre-ordered and stuff like that. And I think I was probably one of the first in the UK as a motor.
You absolutely were, yeah.
Doing that sort of thing. Admittedly, I didn't have a clue how it worked, and I wasn't doing it right. But I jumped on that bandwagon, and I loved it. And I still love the cameras. But now everyone is kind of doing them. I'm like, it's not a USP anymore, so I don't need to put the effort in. And I'll only use them on a special occasion now, because it's like, well, if everyone's doing it, it doesn't boost. It doesn't give me a step above anyone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think 360 is very much like drone footage. Less is more. I could see in the analytics and viewer retention that the second I went into like a 30-second drone montage in a trip vid, or people just fall off. They either skip it or they just go.
And this is the thing: is like when I watch motovloggers, particularly just generally what I watch on YouTube is motovloggers, it's because I want to know about the person, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling. Yes, I want to see the roads because it's kind of cathartic watching the roads twiddling around and stuff like that. But I'm interested in the person, and I don't care what bike they're riding, what terrain they're riding on. If they're interesting as a person and their personality is engaging, that's what I'm watching that for. So if the person has the most fancy cameras in the world and overuses them, it's just like, no, get rid of the music, get rid of all the fancy, spinny, tiny planet stuff and all that stuff. Just be you. I'll watch you because I think you're awesome. And I'm saying that to you, but I'm also saying that to every other motovlogger I watch. I watch them because I think they're awesome. I wouldn't waste my time on them if I didn't. That's very
nice to hear. Thank you, and I agree with you. That's what makes me watch YouTube channels, is that connection with the person, for sure. And that's the overwhelming feedback I get from people is we watch the chat, because I was a bit lost this year, particularly. I was a bit lost on YouTube. I was just like, I don't know.
Are you sure you weren't just lost in the middle of nowhere because of the 38,000 billion miles you've covered?
Well, this week I have been utterly foobarred this week. I've done that around the UK a few times now, but I just really felt it this week. It was like jet lag. It was like really bad jet lag.
Different way of doing things.
But it was weird though, because with electric, I was stopping more often and stopping for longer than I ever normally would. Even on the 125, I would literally stop to fill up with fuel and go. And once or twice every 24 hours, I'd maybe stop for half hour, or sometimes it might even be 2 hours just to grab some sleep, when they start
need to sleep. Whereas here, you're doing it because you've got nothing else to do.
Exactly. And that's what, I'd sit and I'd do my social updates, and then I'd be like, shit, I've got 15 minutes left of a charge, 10 minutes left of a charge. I'll just have a quick 10-minute power kit. Boom, done. And obviously as the days moved into, like, certainly end of second day, the second night is always a killer. And I was thinking, shit, I'm only halfway here, because I thought I would be 4 days for the electric. But as it was, I did it in 3 and a bit, I think it was. Didn't take that much longer than the 125, to be perfectly honest with you.
But on the 125, you were constantly riding.
Yes. And I wasn't going any quicker. I'm not really sure how that worked out.
Acceleration time is instantaneous on an electric bike, isn't it? You're from 0 mile an hour to the speed limit, whatever the speed limit is. Like,
yeah, that is fantastic. But I think the 125 took me, was it 2.5 days, or just under 3 days, and the electric took 3.5 days. Excuse me, ish. Yeah, about that. But anyway, what was I talking about? I've totally forgotten what I was talking about. I've totally forgotten what we were talking about.
Read the question.
From Harley, what are the highest and lowest points of your life? Okay, so highest was your parachute jump, and lowest was breaking your back, but you'd still recommend, that's it, you'd recommend people to do track days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that what we were talking about?
That was the question, yes.
That was the question.
No, but we did convolute.
Yeah, I can't remember what we were chatting about.
When would a Brew Time podcast ever not convolute?
I know, yeah. The fastest route might be from A to B, but where's the joy in that? Let's go and have a chat.
We've got to go and do it around the houses.
Yeah, let's go and chat with P and Q.
We're on the Calimoto.
Yeah, absolutely. On the very twisty option. Right, me, highest and lowest points of your life. Highest would be, there'd be a couple. Birth of my son, for sure. Wedding day, actually. I actually enjoyed my wedding day a lot more than I thought I was gonna. It was a fantastic day. Lowest, losing my mum. Hardest thing I've ever been through, for sure. Absolutely. What more can I say about that?
I can relate.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you ever really get over, do you? It's something that's always there. There's never a day when I don't think about her or miss her, but it's life. It's another one of life's lessons, isn't it, that you have to learn. Loss is part of life. Anyway, with that, let's move across. Thank you very much to everyone over on Patreon. Huge thanks for all your support. Folks, if you fancy joining the clan, which will shortly be rebranded as Only Clans, you can head to patreon.com/TeapotOne.
Awesome.
Right.
You're going to borrow the logo?
I am, mate. Yeah. I'm in the process of bastardizing the logo. I'll probably get done for copyright, but never mind.
Just reverse it and put it upside down or something.
Yeah. Something along those lines, yeah. Right, so we head across to Instagram. So that's at TeapotOne Insta, and I'll leave all Pete's socials, YouTube links and everything. They'll all be down below, so make sure you check them out. So first one, Richard Higgett, Bandit Man. My question for Pete would be on road or off-road. Where does he most enjoy riding? Good question.
I have to absolutely, without any messing around, although I seem to be messing around, off-road. I love it. I think it is the most You wait until you're on some nice lanes.
I genuinely do enjoy it, mate. I do enjoy it. I'm a convert.
I know you do. I know you do. But you've done some tough lanes on some less than tough bikes. So you've done very well to get to the point. But then, I mean, you did. I remember you doing that off-road thing. Was it with the Canary bikes where you would jump? Where they were jumping up this big cliff thing.
That was Toro.
Like, no, I'm just going to watch. And
yeah, that was Toro drill.
Because your comfort zone is that, and you can jump out of it, but then that would have been beyond your jumping out. That would have been just beyond the fear.
Do you know what that was? Is I had, in fact, I was still on, not the sick, but I was still on restricted duty at work in my old job from a bike crash. Because when I got wiped out on the bike.
You had a second bike crash when you were off the first bike crash.
That's what was going through my mind, was that I was almost back to full duty, carrying the gun again, and back to, because and they need numbers there. They're below where they need to be, so they need numbers. And I thought, I'm away on another bike trip. I'm already in a bit of a contentious area at the moment, and I thought, if I have an off and land on my shoulder, I will pop my shoulder out for sure. It definitely would have come out because it wasn't properly healed yet. And I just thought, no, it's not worth it. So that was part of the reason I didn't do that.
That picture you showed of me on your Instagram post of doing that jump, that was at Golden Bar Raceway, and one of my friends, who was the one that encouraged me to come along with him and watch, so basically her fault that I got into dirt bikes. She didn't do it that time, I don't think, but she did it the next time, and she broke her leg, and she's a civil servant, and they're like, well, that's not very good, is it? And then she recovered, and then she had a bike accident and stuff, and she was almost on gross misconduct type warnings for having bike accidents, and we're like, well, I can't help it. It's not her fault. But they were like, yeah, but you were in a motocross environment. You shouldn't have put yourself in that thing if you value your work and stuff. And I think that's wrong. I think we should work to live, not live to work.
I do agree. I do agree with that.
That companies shouldn't be forced to pay for you to go be stupid buggers. I mean, the amount of times I fell off bikes in the Navy and they had to pay me while I was recovering. It's not very fair on the taxpayer. I'm just very grateful for them.
I agree with you in that.
I remember doing a poo while I was working at Fleet HQ that cost the UK taxpayer £68.
Oh, wow. I might have to start changing the titles of these podcasts from just the number and who's it on to like, actually a lot of podcasts do that, don't they? They take a little soundbite line from the podcast and that is the title. It costs 68 quid.
To the UK taxpayer.
To the UK taxpayer. No, I agree with you there. I think people's priorities have maybe changed a little bit over lockdown. I think a lot of people maybe realised, oh, hang on a minute, I was living to work, not working to. Is that the right way around? They were putting far too much focus on their work life at the detriment of their personal and their home life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have sort of suddenly realised, oh, hang on a minute, maybe I don't need the income that I did have, or they just want more of a balance in life. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
They've worked at home for 6 months or a year or whatever, and they realise that they can do and have a better life and save money and stuff.
But as you say, as an employer, I don't think the employer should have to, as you said, pay for when somebody does themselves an injury in their private life, in their personal life, So
I mean, I'm so glad I was in the Navy, because I got 2 lots of 3 weeks intensive rehab at Headley Court, and that was very humbling to be there, because at the time it was around the Iraqi, not Afghan war, Iraqi, I don't know, one of them, and there was an awful lot of people there in very much worse situations than me. Were there because they were heroes, not because they're a twat. One of them who had no legs taught me to run.
Wow,
that's pretty embarrassing, isn't it?
Wow,
to be taught someone with no legs.
Wow, mate, Jesus. Yeah, it certainly put a different perspective on your outlook on life, won't it? For sure. Yeah. People are awesome, man. People are utter fuds, but people are awesome.
Absolutely. You flip the coin, you find a good one. Flip the coin, you find a bad one. But let's hope that there's more good ones.
I do think there is more good. I 100% do. I used to think most people were twats, but I'm the total opposite now. I'm very.
I think now you're away from a previous employer.
Yeah,
it's probably better for your soul, brain.
Absolutely.
To deal with
travel. And travel's the best thing I ever did. Travel totally, it broadens the mind without a shadow of a doubt. It's made me more accepting of people. It's made me more open towards other people, other cultures, other ways of thinking. I can't think of a single negative about travel other than it costs a lot of money, or it doesn't need to. But
I know you don't sort of talk about it a lot, but I heard that you went around the world once.
Well, yeah. I don't like to mention it, but I will be mentioning it at the Armchair Adventure Festival this September 20. I think it's 3rd to 25th.
Are you on the stage? You're on the stage,
I'm giving a chat about my Starbucks trip on the Friday at 3:00, I think, and then I'm doing about 5 or 6 podcasts from there as well.
Nice.
Live podcasts with other people that are giving talks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that sort of half hour, well, maybe an hour long chats with lots and lots of different people. So really looking forward to it. Matt and Reese, the two lads that organise it, the sidecar guys, they're top blokes, really are top blokes. Okay, what was that? That question was just to you, wasn't it? On-road or off-road? That's right. Cool. So you're an off-road nutter. Next one, official Mr. Fish. Oh, here we go. Not a question, just a statement. If everyone in biking was as nice as Pete, the world could be a better place. Unless it's snoring, then you can assassinate him. I have heard your snoring is legendary. Now, this comes from someone who is known to disrupt a night's sleep or two. But I've heard your snoring is something else.
I'm pretty sure we got discovered by the Russians on our submarine because of it.
Imagine them listening on the headphones like, what the fuck is that? That's no whale. Is it a walrus?
It's horrible. I hate being this snory person, but it's me. I am an earth shatterer of snores.
Have you always been a snorer?
I've always been a snorer, but I think as I've discovered adulthood of alcohol and pies and stuff, it's probably got a little bit worse. And as I've discovered pies and alcohol, I've discovered that running is less fun. And that probably doesn't help either. So
somehow the snoring gets louder.
Yeah, I mean, surely it should get quieter the less effort you put into things.
Yeah, I'm the same. I always know if I'm putting the timber on more than normal, my snoring. I'm quite blessed in that my wife doesn't really notice my snoring much at all. Somehow, God knows how she doesn't. But if I do put a bit of weight on, it gets louder and more pronounced. And she's just like, "You're snoring. Get on the rower."
I went to Australia a few years ago. I can't remember exactly what year, but 2015 or something like that for Christmas. My best mate was out there, so I promised him I'd go and visit him. And I was like, I'm going out there. And literally, after it started getting dark on the flight, they put all the blinds down and stuff like that, and it gets all cozy and stuff. Every 5 minutes or so, I'd be like, "Do you want anything from an air hostess? Do you want anything? Can I help you? Would you like something?" Because every time I dozed off, the whole aeroplane woke up.
Yeah.
So they just kept me awake for the whole flight. It was pretty horrific.
It's when I wake myself up with my snoring. Like, if you're sat upright and your head just falls like that, well, you just start making god awful noises, don't you? And I've woken myself up to the extent where I've woke up with a start and looked around and people are looking at me. And it's like, oh no, I am that one, Anna. That is me.
I used to be able to sleep standing up when I was in the Navy, because when you're doing gunshots on top of a submarine, it's not the most thrilling thing in Scotland in the middle of winter, and you're up there just freezing, and you're like, they give you like this suit which is like a sleeping bag sort of thing, but a standing uppy sleeping bag with arms and legs, and you're in there and you're snug and cozy, but you know it's cold and miserable. and like you're just like, I've got to be up here for this many hours.
Yeah.
And like next thing you know, it's like you're waking yourself up because you're almost about to fall over. But it's not because it's the noise coming out of your mouth that pushes things up. And then your 5.56 rifle starts discharging.
Falling asleep with your finger on the trigger. Yeah. I used to have a mate in my uni rugby team called Phantom, and he was called Phantom because he'd get to that stage at night where he was that drunk and he would just disappear. So he got the name Phantom. But he had this ability to sleep standing up. You know, like a horse. He could just lock his knees and he'd prop himself against the bar, stood up, and he could just fall asleep. It was amazing, like with a pint in his hand and just fall asleep. Like stunning, stunning.
The super skill that is.
Yeah. Anyway, and what else does Fish say? Oh, he says, and Bruce, your mum. Thanks very much. Cheers, Fish. Standard retort from Fish.
Yep.
If you ever leave a sort of negative comment on Fish's YouTube channel on any of his vids, not that I can suggest you do, but if you do, that's the reply you're going to get. Your mum. Next one. Eddie Donny. I'd be impressed if you got Fortnite on his content and dry humour. I'm trying to get Ryan on. I've tried to get him on.
That's because you used that photo of Ryan asking for my autograph.
It is. Yeah, that's right. It's a little bit of clickbait, that. Yeah.
Had he not seen me, I'd not be here because like you'd have never been able to meet me because I'm so famous.
This is right. There's been a waiting list to get you on here, Pete. Yeah, I would love to get Ryan on, and if anyone knows him, then please.
If you can, I will watch that twice.
Cheers, pal. Next one, Curious Goose Moto. If you was 17 again with today's bikes, new, so no CB100N, what bike would you get? Okay.
By the way, Curious Goose is a very interesting chap. He's got a YouTube channel. He started off riding a Sinister Terrain, the adventure thingy, which he goes everywhere on. It's quite impressive, actually.
What, the 380?
No, he's on the 125. He's on his updates. And he takes it all over the place. But he started doing sort of wild camping in places where he shouldn't, like all roundabouts and stuff like that. And it's quite interesting. It's quite cool. I don't mean to shout at his channel, but he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. But anyway, after having watched the 44 Teeth guys with their endurance racing, Suzuki GSXR 125 or whatever it's called, I'd have to have one of them because that would be the fastest thing out. It's 44 Teeth.
It looks the mutts, doesn't it? It looks the mutts nuts, that little bike.
Hell, isn't it? But I know I wouldn't be allowed it because it doesn't comply with CBT rules. KTM 125 two-stroke enduro bike.
That's the one you go for.
30 horsepower, yeah, of course I would. I mean, in my day, I had an RD 125 with about 25 horsepower on my old plates. So an RD 125 KTM with 30 horsepower, it's about the same.
I haven't got a clue for me. I haven't got a clue. Yeah, I think I would probably. For me, I'd probably just take the little Sinus, the wee 125 terrain.
I actually really honestly want a Honda CT 125X, the trail. I want one. Bruce, can you make it happen? Because they don't bring them over. Tell Honda.
Do you know,
you get Mr. Fishley. He's got to do with Honda.
I spoke with Honda about it. I was like, I don't suppose there's any chance of getting one, and they were like, no, we're not bringing them to the UK. And I was like, well, so many people are asking for them, and they were like, well, our research suggests that there just isn't a demand for it.
But they're not asking the people that would buy them.
That's what I felt like. But then they've got a good point because maybe the amount of people saying, yeah, I want one, you're probably only looking at max at 100. Exactly.
And only a few of them would actually like. But the thing is, it's like they've got the Honda Monkey, which is fine. It's not something I'm interested in. They've got the Grom, which is fine. Again, something I'm not interested in. And they've got the DAX now. They've just brought the DAX out, haven't they? Which is the one that looks like a sewing machine.
Yeah.
Apparently it looks like a dash, but actually it just looks like a sewing machine. And it's like, these are all the same bikes. Just stop it. Bring the CT125X over because people want proper wheels.
They're bringing the Hornet back.
Yeah, are they?
I've not seen it.
Yeah, I have. But basically, they've looked at KTM and gone, this is what the Duke looks like in silhouette. And they're bringing I guess it's going to be a twin. I loved the Honda Hornet because it was a CBR 600 engine, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A cracking bike. I love naked bikes, and I like the CBR. So a naked CBR, brilliant. But no, it's not one of them. It's like the R7. They call the R7 the R7 when really they shouldn't, because the R7 was legendary. It was a super bike, a real super bike. Not like
but
just
it's not of the same ilk. Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a cracking motorcycle. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't say no to an R7 in my garage, but I wouldn't call it an R7 if I was naming it. I'd call it.
Yeah, no, I get you. It'll be interesting to see what this new Hornet's going to be then.
It'll be cool. It will be cool. But again, they're making it look much more fancy than I think it is. It's going to be a budget bike, or else it's not a Honda Hornet. Because the Hornet was always a budget bike, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It was like a little bit better than the Band.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit better than the others of the class.
But what budget is a budget bike these days?
Well, Royal Enfield have shown that it's about $6,000, haven't they?
Mm. Yeah,
when you can buy CRF 300L or 300R for $5.5, $6,000, you can buy a Royal Enfield, almost any of them, for under $7,000, can't you?
Yeah. But is an Enfield the same quality as a Honda?
No, but then is a Honda the same quality as a Honda? It's not.
Not Hondas of old, no.
I mean, sure. You look at Mr. Fish's CRF 250R versus a CRF 300 rally that's been around as long. Well, I bet you Fish's one will look a lot better because they made paint properly back then. Nowadays, it's like it's just a token gesture, put a paint on something.
It's micro thin, isn't it? It's ridiculous how thin.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not slating Honda or anything like that. I just find it sad that the manufacturers that we're brought up on as the bread and butter reliability, the quality bikes, are now just the humdrum. They're the same as everything else. And I think that's a bit sad. When a Suzuki gets higher praise for its build quality than a Honda, and don't get me wrong, I love Suzukis as well. I'm glad they get higher praise for build quality. But in the olden days, they were like, it's kind of funny. It's like Ferrari F40 made a thing of saying, "Oh, paint so thin you can see through it to save weight," whereas that's like what motorbikes are. But it's not because they're saving weight; they're saving money.
yeah, exactly, absolutely. Suzuki's a funny one, isn't it? Because
they're always a step behind on the generation thing. I think
they're always behind in technology. They're always sort of last to come out with the technology. But their bikes are always solid. The bikes
I bought
really good value for money.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, I bought myself a 2017 GSX-R 750. I don't normally buy second-hand bikes, and I don't mean that in a snobby way. I just don't like other people touching my stuff.
Yeah.
It might be a snobby. I don't know. But it's like I want to abuse it myself.
I'm the same, yeah.
But I mean, you can't buy a decent sports bike now unless you want 1,000cc, and they're too much for the road. And even a 750 is too much. A 600 is too much for the road of modern bikes when you're talking sports bikes, because they're 180-mile-an-hour motorcycles. But I've always loved the 750. I thought it was a fantastic motorcycle, so I bought one. And it's a 2017 bike. It's not got ABS, not got traction control. And you know, that's a 2017 bike. My V7, my Moto Guzzi V7, if I bought it the year after I did, which is when I bought it in 2012, so the 2013 version of it has ABS and traction control. It's only got 50 horsepower. Why has that got ABS and traction control?
Don't
get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing having ABS, but why that got it, whereas my 150 horsepower GSX-R from 2017 doesn't? And I'm like, well, I don't care, but I bought it because it didn't have it.
Yeah, I used to be like that, actually. You know, I remember the last Gixxer I bought, 2015 time.
That was what you did your trip on, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That was what you did your trip on, wasn't it?
No, it's when I came back from the trip. I came back from the trip and bought a Tuono, and I had that for about 4 months, and then it fell apart. The engine just shit itself. So I traded that in for another GSX-R. The MotoGP colours, Gixxer 1000. And I specifically asked for the non-ABS, non-traction control one, Because in my head, I was just like, I've never had traction control. I've never had ABS. I don't need it. Blah 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 blah. All that bollocks. This is my ABS and traction.
This is my ABS. Yeah,
fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
And absolutely, I agree. 100%. It is ridiculous, but it doesn't sort of feel in that.
No, I know. Yeah. I can handle. Nah. So I got the bike. I got the Jigsaw without any of the toys on it, and having come from the Tuono, which had all the bells and whistles, it had all the toys. It was amazing to then ride the bike without it, and just like I could feel more now. Yeah, I felt more now in terms of like when the bike was starting to get out of shape, because I'd been on a bike that was just sorting all that out for me. Jumping back on the Jigsaw didn't feel like the Jigsaw I used to love the Jigsaw moving underneath me when I was riding. I used to love the feel of the bike skiting around. Awesome. But now it's scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, once you've been mothered. I remember I noticed it first on my Street Triple 765, because I think that was my first bike with everything. I had a Kawasaki ZX 636 briefly. I only did like 2,000 miles on it. I sold it because I just wasn't riding it because I was on my B7 all the time.
Yeah.
But I had my 765 Street Triple, which had traction control, ABS, and all that sort of stuff. And I actually found myself scared to turn it off. And I'm like, I want to be able to do stupid stuff. I want to be able to go over a crest of a hill and the front wheel pop up and I go, in like a child. But I was scared to turn it off, and I don't know why. When that had less horsepower than my previous Gixxer, less horsepower even than the 675, not 636 that I had. And I'm just like, what happened to me? And it was the fact that you've got them, you rely on them, and then you forget what you can do without them.
Yeah, but I think bikes now have so much more torque. They've got so much more horsepower.
You get 200 horsepower for a naked Ducati, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's insane. You need it. You need the aids.
In order to get like even close to 50% of the bike's potential, unless you're a shit hot rider and know exactly what you're doing.
The majority of us on the road are not.
Exactly, we're not. We're never going to get anywhere near the potential of the bike, anywhere near the potential of the tyres. All these dickheads out there going, I need the stickiest tyres possible. Bollocks to you, utter bullshit. Sport touring tyres will do you. But
them road sixes, I think are like the thing that everyone should just put on their bikes.
Well, I've not tried the Road 6 yet, to be honest. I've not got my hands on them.
Amazing.
Yeah. All modern sport touring tyres, the ones I've tried, they've all been brilliant. I've done track days on them. I've done touring on them.
I've done track days on them. I've cooked a couple of sets of tyres. One set was a set of road legal wets, which I had on my Supermoto, my Husky Supermoto, and I killed them on a track day.
Right,
because it wasn't wet.
Yeah, exactly.
With their road legal wets, they're on the tractor. They're not going to last. So they died. And the road 5s I had on my 765, I did a track day on them, and they by the end of the day they were fading a little bit.
Really,
a little bit. It was just. I don't know what it was. You could just feel a squidge.
Would that not just be the pressures, though?
Well, I adjusted the pressures for track. But, I mean, they might not have adjusted them correct. I wasn't running tyre warmers. So, I was having to have them as a kind of a hybrid between cold tyres and warm tyres. So they were like halfway pressure drop. So, but I don't know. But it wasn't that there was a problem with the tyres. But if I was doing track days all the time, then I would obviously want the track focus profile over road. But I'm not. I'm doing road riding 99% of my life. And that's including my dirt bike and track riding. I'm 99% of my time I'm on the road, I think, these days, even though I would prefer to be not doing that.
But then Ron Haslam, like the Ron Haslam Race School, they use sport touring tyres on all their bikes.
Them without changing the tyres in the dry and in the wet. So they can ride all year round on these tyres, and they know that you can do this on that tyre.
And there's no tyre warmers on them.
And that's another thing, because they can do heat cycles. Whereas a track focused tyre, unless you're running tyre warmers and keeping that heat in it, then you lose that heat cycle, and then that's one more closer to it being an off tyre.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason races sell their tyres once they've done them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they're no good to when they're racing. So they sell them to people who want to do, well, the bragging rights down at Rikers car park.
Yeah. Look at my chicken strips.
Yeah, any chicken strips. Yeah, it's because you just put that tyre on and you bought it off a race. I hate that chicken strip argument. I hate it.
I know. Yeah, it makes me laugh.
Because I've personally been the person that's gone around scraping foot pegs and knees and going around the outside of people, and I've still had chicken strips at the end of that session.
Yeah.
And I've also had people go around the outside of me and had chicken strips wider than KFC. I mean, it's a stupid argument, and it's not ballsy. It's not clever. All it does is encourage people to fall off and trash their bike.
It does. It encourages people to push the bike, farther and farther and farther in the lean angle. Having said that, I've got a mate of mine on a GS who the lean angle he gets on a GS is phenomenal. Like, the bike is fully canked over, his panniers are scraping on the ground, and he's got his missus sat on the back. This is out on the road. It's phenomenal, the lean angle he gets. It's crazy. I don't know how he does it.
Some of your trips, you've struggled with the GS on that occasion, haven't you, with grip? I seem to remember a couple of videos where you...
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure whether it was a Spain trip or something like that.
No,
it might be because it was wet or something like that.
Yeah, it's not the bike, it's me. I after that latest crash where I got wiped out, that one really sort of messed with me quite badly.
It's going to give you confidence.
I just didn't have confidence for quite a while on the bike. Yep. Which meant it was really rigid, which meant the bike's not...
And you're more likely to crash again. When the moment you stiffen up, that's it, you're duffed.
The bike's not doing what it needs to do to counteract anything that's going on. Yeah. But I think I'm getting through that. Yeah, of course, go on in. Another break.
Sorry. I started on the beer and that's it. That's my bladder, hamster bladder.
This is what happens when you get two old boys in a podcast. We'll do another ad break. Me again, folks, just another shout out for this week's sponsors, who are the Influencer Store. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. And now, if you've got any of my merch over at TeapotOne.com, all of that is handed by Roger and Charlotte over at the Influencer Store. It's really good quality. It's British made. That's why I've gone with them. So a huge thanks to the Influencer Store. Lastly, folks, this is just one from me. It's a massive shout out to each and every one of you who's listened to the podcast, each and every one of you that watches the vids, both here and across on the main TeapotOne channel. Thank you very much for all your support. Thank you very much for engaging in the comments, liking and sharing the social media stuff, liking and sharing the vids. Sharing vids is a huge thing. Really is. You got no idea how much that helps. You bump you up in the algorithm. So if you enjoy what you watch, what you listen to, share it amongst all your mates. And thank you very much. For all those of you over in the clan on Patreon, not much I can say except, a heartfelt thank you. You folks go that extra mile, and I really do appreciate it. I couldn't do this without your support. If you fancy checking that out, head to patreon.com/TeapotOne. Okay then. Let's get back to the chat.
Sorry about that, mate.
And we're back. No worries at all, man. No worries. But I've just looked. We've got a load of questions to get through. We need to pick the pace up a bit.
Yep.
We're like 2 hours, 10 minutes at the moment.
Oh Jesus. Sorry.
That's all right. No worries. No worries at all. It's always a good sign when time flies. Right. So, Lord Bilius, if Pete wasn't such a short arse, what adventure bike would he get?
See, I absolutely adore my Aprilia Touareg 660. Mm-hmm. But would I have bought a KTM or a Tuono? Not was it the T7?
Mm-hmm.
It would always be a middleweight adventure bike if I couldn't buy a lightweight adventure bike. So if KTM bring out a 490 adventure, which I've heard rumors of.
Okay.
I'd consider that, because the 390 Adventure, I follow a channel called MVDBR Enduro in Australia. They're cracking channel, really, really nice couple. The dude, he rides a T7 and his missus rides a 390 Adventure. And they ride what I would ride on that big to behind on those bikes, and they do it like it's easy. Right. And I'm like, damn. So if KTM bought out a 490 Adventure, I'd possibly consider that.
Right.
But with what's actually out at the moment, to save some money, I'd have probably got the T7 if I wasn't short ass.
What is the Touareg like then, this Aprilia?
If you imagine the perfect dual sport, add a fairing and a bigger fuel tank, that's it.
Is it that good?
I love it. It's my first proper adventure bike. I mean, I had the Moto Guzzi V85 TT prior to it, but that's a touring bike on big suspension, as far as I'm concerned. It's not an off-road bike. People do take it off-road and are very good at it, but they're better riders than me. And I don't think that means that the bike's good. It means that they're good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not slating the V85. I loved that bike. It was my McDonald's paint joy thing. It was amazing. I loved that bike. But the Aprilia is skinny like an enduro, but not quite as skinny, because obviously it's a twin. It's light in relative terms. This thing here is about 125 kilograms. The Beta Alp I had before, it was about 150 kilograms wet-ish. And the Aprilia is 204 wet.
Okay, wow.
So it's a lot heavier than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But compared to like the GSs, the KTM big bikes and stuff like that, that's their dry weights. And then they've got a 20-litre fuel tank. And oil and tyres and stuff. Because have you noticed there are a lot of manufacturers don't do tyre weights when they're doing their dry weights?
I always just look at the wet weight anyway. I just look at the road weight.
The wet weight's the only one that matters. It's what you're actually riding. But the Aprilia is amazing. And if you haven't ridden one,
I've not, no.
If you can't get a demo on one, touch base sometime. You borrow mine. Take it.
Mate, thank you very much. I've got no contact at all with Aprilia. I think the people that do Aprilia's PR are the same that do.
I mean, you're down south, same as me, sort of, aren't you? Then maybe touch base with Brighton Moto.
Brighton Moto.
Yeah, that's where I got mine from. They're an independent Piaggio dealership. So they've got all the Aprilias, Moto Guzzis and stuff like that. They might well say hello.
That could be an option then. Cheers. Thank you. I'll chase that up.
Don't you dare stop me getting to go on the V100. Right, I've got my name on that.
No worries. No problem. Right, okay. Cheers for that one, Lord Bilius. Next one, R-rated customs. Question, with California going new electric cars by 2035, then how will that affect our passion of two wheels? Well, same over here, mate. In the UK, all motorbikes by, I think it is 2035, or is it
2035 for big ones, and I think 2030 for 125 for smaller.
Yeah, so we're going electric exactly the same time. Well, the bikes are going electric actually sooner than the States. I mean, so many people. It is an incredibly, what is the word? Divisive topic, electric motorbikes in particular. You know, every time I do any content, whether that's a vid or social media content around electric bikes, there is always somebody that will post up going, "Oh, my cold dead hands, will you pry my internal combustion engine bike from me?" All this sort of stuff. I get it. I totally get it. I do think, you know, my heart and soul is with petrol bikes, but having ridden electric bikes, I'm not as distraught at the thought of the onset of electric bikes becoming the majority. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of pros to go with them. There's a lot of negatives for sure. It's going to involve a total different mindset towards how you tour. You are not going to be able to refuel as conveniently or quickly as you can with petrol. It's just that is not going to be the option. You're going to have to reduce your daily mileage. You're going to have to increase your amount of stops and the time that you take to stop. It's just going to be part of it. Deal with it. That's just how it is going to be. But the sensation of riding electric is fantastic. It's brilliant. The power, the torque is insane. It's insane. Nothing will beat that. No car will beat it. Certainly no petrol car. The only bikes that will come close to beating the electric bike in performance, you're talking proper race bikes. You know, it's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like an overtake is just, poof, you're gone. Every set of lights that you're at, you sit there. You don't even need to worry about a clutch, so you're not fannying about putting the thing in neutral. You just sit there like that, wait. As soon as it goes green, you twist, you hang on, twist, and it's like you're a rocket taking off. The acceleration is phenomenal. You'll leave everything in your wake. You get to 60, 70, whatever it is you need to get to, ease off, and everyone else that's been trying to catch you goes boom, flying by. Fine, okay. You go and do what you want to do, but I won. Yeah, I'm fine about it. I'm fine about electric.
So R-Rated is actually one of my earliest subscribers to my channel. His name is Anthony, and he's got a big old Harley. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but you know, one of the big bagger ones. Yeah, he's got over 100,000 miles on that. So nice. He's had a long time. It looks better than any of my year-old bikes. He looks after his motorcycles, he does, and he's a lovely, lovely bloke. So cheers, Anthony. As far as electric bikes for me, I love them. I've not engaged in them as in the motorcycles that are available at the moment because I'm not quite sure on the infrastructure, so I'm not prepared to throw my money on. But actually, as a commuter, I'd be all over it. And actually, little plug, one of my mates is going to be selling some electrical motorcycles soon, which are all sort of scooter 125 sort of focused. And with me only living 5 miles from where I work, absolutely perfect. Plug it into work, don't even need to charge it home. Totally. So I'm looking to maybe move to that in the future, and I'll go, yes, I'll have some of that. I'm not sure when I'll step in, whether it'll be on the 50s that he's bringing into the country to start with, or will be the 125 equivalents once he's sort of got his company set up. But I think that's what I want to do. As far as bigger bike goes, again, I love the concept of electric bikes. I've not ridden a proper one. I remember riding a 125 equivalent at the, what's the London show? The XL? Is it the XL bike show?
XL show, yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a Motor Gym Corner course on an electric supermoto there. And it was hilarious, apart from every time I kept trying to put the clutch in, I'd put the rear brake on. And but that doesn't take you long to get used to that, the same way as it doesn't take you long to get used to riding a step through, which has your rear brake on the handlebars. You just get used to it. But yeah, big bike, I want to have a go on. Maybe if this Isle of Wight thing
we'll be doing it, mate. Feasible. I will speak with them.
We can see if it's a doable thing. Yeah. And even if they can't, I mean, like, I can come along on a motorbike and show you how easy it is to do on a petrol bike while you do on an electric if they're not quite good.
Definitely, mate. We'll do a collab for sure. But I think that'd be quite interesting, really, to do a little camping trip. Isle of Wight makes sense, as you said, because it's much smaller. So
I mean, you wouldn't want to go to Africa on an electric bike.
I have this thing in my head about
you're going to do it. You're going to go around the world on an electric bike, and you're going to make it happen.
That's what I would really like to do.
You want one of those tents that folds out of the motorcycle, don't you? Like Captain Rambunctious has got.
What do they call it? Tent box or whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever they call it. And then when you're at the EV charging station, you just fold that out, you airbed up, and that's it. It's like you're down for 40 minutes.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I've got this thing about doing a trip like that. I would love to.
You're one of these determined people that can make these things happen for yourself.
Yeah, but what I'm full of great ideas. All my mates will tell you that. I'm full of all these ideas, but you know, a lot of the time they come out my mouth and they just float around in the ether, and they'll either dissipate away. Most of them will just dissipate away, but occasionally one really grabs me. And if one really grabs me and I go, that's happening, then it's going to happen. I
Well,
will make
you were
that
looking
happen.
at cycling around the coast of the UK on a bicycle, weren't you?
I still am. It's still there. I'm just trying to work out logistics for it, really.
I mean, that's something you have to do as a charity for, isn't it? Really?
I would do it for charity, but it's on a personal level. It's my personal commitments. Like if I disappear, it's going to be, a fat lump like me, because I'm going to do no training for it. I literally want to get on a bike and go. So I'll be doing 20, 30 miles a day initially until my body gets used to it. So you're looking at 3 or 4 months for me to do a total around the UK ride.
It's not like you've got like a regular income that you can take a sabbatical from.
Exactly. But I will vlog, and I can create content on the move, such as the beauty of my job now. But aside from that, I've got commitments to my wife. We've got the dog. If I'm not here for 3 or 4 months, my wife has to look after the dog for 3 or 4 months, which is 2 walks a day. If she whines during the night, you have to get up during. It's a little bit like having a wee toddler around. Yeah, it's a little bit like that, And
by the way, dogs are the best.
They're awesome. I'd never be without the pooch.
I'm on team dog.
Awesome.
The only reason I don't have a dog in this house right now is because I do 12-hour shifts, days and nights.
That's why we never had dogs. And then now, obviously, I work from home. My wife works from home most of the time now. It was like, right, okay, we can do this.
All my friends who have dogs are like literally like, I'm not sure if I like them for them or whether I just like them for their dogs. I love you for you. I love you for you.
But the cycling around the UK is one of those that has really grabbed me, and I put it out there now that I want to do it, so I have to do it. But I'm just trying to work out how. I'm in the sort of the planning stage at the moment, trying to facilitate how I'm going to do it. So it might take 4 or 5 years. It might take 6 months, for me to figure that out. But
it doesn't matter how long it takes, because if you're going to make it happen, it will happen, and it'll happen when it's the right time for it to happen.
It will happen. I just have to figure out how at the moment, to be honest. And then I have another one, which is Row the Atlantic. That's at the moment that is still that's circling round. I haven't grabbed that yet.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd be following that like a motherfucker. I'd be like watching your live streams of you go, because that's adventure. That's like me wanting to go to space. Because rowing is so. It's like sailing. You're so at one with what's around you. Nothing's helping you. It's you versus that. What's in front of you, behind you, around you, underneath you, and above you. And space travel, ocean travel, that's what has always excited me. I love watching all these exploratory programs about Captain Cook and all that sort of stuff. Because they were adventures. They stepped out beyond not just a comfort zone, but beyond sanity almost, with their dedication to go out and do something stupid. And it's just, and they didn't. Some of them didn't, but they had a fucking good go doing it.
Did you ever follow Ed Mark, C90 Adventures?
Yeah.
Do you know his ex-girlfriend, Rachel?
I do.
Do you remember Rachel?
I'm sure. On the video. Oh my gosh,
sure.
I had a crush on her.
She's lovely. She's gorgeous and she's lovely. She's a really, really, really nice person. But I'm sure I have seen a post, and she is doing the TWAC, the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Crossing this year. So I'm sure it was her. This December, she is part of I think it was a 4-person crew. I was going to say man, but you know what I mean. Yeah. A 4-man crew. I'm sure it was her that was in it. So she's beating me to it if she's doing it. But fair play, if she's heading off to do that. Awesome.
I mean, Ed and her were fantastic. I mean, it was very engaging watching them as a couple traveling.
Yeah,
I could kind of predict the split.
Yeah,
not meaning any ill will on either of them, but you could, on such slow motorcycles, you really got to have a fantastic relationship to be able to survive.
And I think they sort of grew apart as characters, really. I think I would like to meet Ed again, because I've not met him in a few years now.
He's
just seemed
he's travelling again. He was settling down in a double-decker bus.
Right.
He was converting. I don't know if you've heard of him, a chap called Epic Adam. He was helping him convert his double-decker bus for a little bit. So that's how I kind of got updates on what was going on. But I think Ed has gone off again into the Americas or something like that, traveling. But I don't know what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's a character and a half, Ed. He was a little bit. Am I out of order saying that? I probably am.
You've got to be quite extrovert and quite eccentric.
He struck me
the thing that he does.
He was I know lots of people, mutual friends who know him and either are friends with him, and I know Ed to see and chat to. I've seen him at lots of events, but he always struck me as a little bit of a prima donna. You know, he sort of. What I really liked about the adventure scene, the overlanding scene, was that it was a great leveler. There's people from every walk of life, from every part of the world, and nobody really cares how much money you've got, or your education, or what religion or culture.
Absolutely, I guess that's one of the problems with like the YouTube type thing, where you become a social media celebrity. Is because sometimes that can possibly overtake. I'm not saying that's what happened with him at all. I don't know him. I've never met him or anything like that. And I think he, from the videos I've watched, cracking, interesting bloke.
Yeah.
But I know what you're sort of saying there without. Yeah.
But it's like he sort of came across on one time anyway, where he almost felt he was sort of saying that. What I've done is the main event. I should be the main event, and it sort of, it was just a quite a bit of a jolt, really, because it was like, well, nobody's driven by their ego here. Everyone's just here to tell about their trip and share their experience they've had and try and promote the beauty of overland travel. It's like the more people that do it, the better the world's going to be, because we're going to be out there mixing with people, and people are going to learn all the stuff that you learn when you overland travel.
Do you think that with the incoming forced electric vehicles, that overlanding and stuff like that is going to make the world a much bigger place again? Whereas at the moment, everything's accessible. If you've got the money, you can ride a motorbike pretty much around the world, no problem at all. I'm watching a channel at the moment called Lavi and Ollie or something like that, where they're riding I think it's a V-Strom 1050.
Yeah. In fact, they've got in touch with me about they want to come on the podcast, actually. I need to reply to them.
I'd love to watch that. Actually, they're a lovely couple. They're very enthusiastic. And I think they've got to an impasse at the moment. They're waiting for their bikes to arrive in Chile, I think it is. They've just done South Africa, or no, North Africa, and then the bikes are going across. So they're waiting for their bikes to get where they're going. And really interesting couple, but they're doing it different. They're doing it as a tandem on one bike. And that, I think, is incredible, because, I've ridden in sand with just me on a bike, and it scares the bejesus out of me. And watching them going down roads that all of a sudden become sand dunes, two up on a 1050cc V-Strom, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's more than I'd want to
do. There's a few people that have done that, or are doing that, actually, is two up. ADV Travel Bug, Fiona and, blimey, is it Sandra? God, my apologies, ladies.
I think I might have them on Instagram, but I didn't know they had a YouTube.
Yeah, Sandra and Fiona, yeah. They initially were two up, but Fiona has now passed her test, so they now have a bike each.
That makes it...
I'm not sure if they've gone back onto their travels yet, but they're always traveling. But like during lockdown and stuff, they were down in Spain and doing lots of stuff around there. So I'm not sure if they've actually headed back out to do their round the world stuff. I'm not sure, actually.
I'm watching another channel called, I think it's Riding on Eggshells. They're an Australian couple riding on beaten up KLEs or 500s or something like that. And it's car crash. Don't get me wrong, I love them to pieces. I think they're wonderful. I've watched them way before they started doing it. But I'm just like, oh my God, are they even going to be able to get out of the county?
That's part of the appeal, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely. And that's why they're going to probably end up with me Patreon, because I've got to help them. They need a cuddle.
Yeah. It's true, though, isn't it? I like stuff like that because they're normal people. They're just...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they proved
these guys
anyone
are
can do
beyond
this.
normal. I mean, they're almost too normal for doing it. And I'm just, someone slap you.
Yeah.
What you're doing is silly.
Yeah. I used to. So go on.
The fella is always wanting to do the off-road stupid stuff, and whenever he does it, it goes wrong. And his partner, Liz, she's always, I don't know if that's a good idea. And generally, 99% of the time proved right.
Yeah, but you got to give it a go, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's just awesome, and it's not a car crash because they do make it happen.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for them to get to the UK because I will find them and cheer them as they hit our borders somewhere when it happens in a year's whatever. Because Brilliant. I love that. They're doing it just despite, they're almost doing it, screw reality, screw physics. We're just going to make this happen by stubbornness.
But that's how things happen, though, isn't it? It's by
probably the only way people actually get around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been maybe a bit too blasé about world travel, whereas I've always said, if you want to do it, if it's something that, well, I used to say, if it's something you want to do, just do it. Anyone can do it. But I've rectified that. I've adjusted it to, if it's something you want to do and it's in your very soul that you know you have to do it. It's not a pipe dream. It's not, I really fancy doing that. It's, I've got to do this. I will move heaven and earth for this to happen. Then if you have that approach to it and you can figure out how you're going to pay for it, you can figure out how you're going to be away from your home for that length of time. If you can figure that out and get to the start line and head, then you're 95% ahead of the vast majority of people out there. And then it's just a case of, like every day in everyday life, it's just a case of dealing with, where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get fuel? Where am I going to sleep tonight? And you just deal with any issues that come your way for the next X amount of days that you're on the road. And eventually, if you're heading east or if you're heading west, you will get home. You will arrive back home. But it's never straightforward and it's never without drama. And those that give up won't make it. And those that do, that keep going and persisting and trying to figure out solutions, they're the ones that make it. It's as simple as that. And that's life.
What makes it so satisfying it was satisfying. It's almost an underwhelming word. It's the wrong word. But amazing that you accomplish something. People often worry about being proud about their achievements. One of the channels I follow is a racer. He's just done his first season racing and he won the championship with the season he was doing. And I'm like, that's fucking amazing. You're a novice and you're beating people in the expert class and you've won your championship. So pat yourself on the back. Go, you are flipping excellent. You have done what you achieved better than you could imagine. Because most people who start racing go, I'm going to be really fast. But they're actually in the back of their mind, I'm only going to be mid-pack at best. But to actually finish in first, second or third on the podium in your first season, that's an achievement. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's amateurs or whatever like that. And the same with world travel. So if your objective is to go to Spain and come back in one piece on a motorbike and do it the easy way by a tour company, you've done that. There's still a bucket list item for a lot of people.
Of course it is.
They wouldn't have done it unless they had that help to do it. But to do that all on your own back and get not just to Spain, but to Africa and then across to India or wherever you go, that's just insane determination, grit, and anyone that does that, whether it's yourself or Lavi and Ollie or these Australian couples, Liz and I can't remember his name, but I really feel bad about that because he's a fucking cracking guy. But whoever it is, you're doing it. You're doing what other people aren't doing. It's like people. I see chunky people going out for a run in the morning, and I'm going, man, you're chunkier than me. And then I go, yeah, but you're out there running. I'm driving my van to work, and I'm getting fatter and you're getting thinner. Who's better?
Yeah.
So every single person that's going out and doing something is better than not.
Absolutely, yeah. The fat bloke out running is, he's definitely doing better than the fat bloke sat on the couch, isn't he? So,
and I am the fat bloke on the couch.
Me also, mate. It annoys me. It really grips my shit at times that I know I'm capable of determination, and I know when I pull the pin and apply myself to something, case in point, the round the world trip, then I'll make it happen. But I also know I'm inherently incredibly lazy at times, and that, I go through phases. Normally every new year I'm like, right, I'm rowing, and I'll row till about April, May time, when things start getting busy again with the bikes, and I'll miss one session on the rower. And well, case in point, we are September now, and I last rode, I think it was early May, late April. And I'm just like,
I remember your Instagram post of you doing all the fitty stuff
every day. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not something I follow, where I kind of swipe right or left, whichever one it is that you do. And the same with Miss Fish. I mean, like, he's doing this stuff to better himself. And Jesus, man, he's a beast. Have you seen something?
It's lighting. It's lighting.
It's disgusting. It's like porn. But I'm just like, I'll never be that person. One, because I've got injuries that stop me doing the exercises that I enjoy doing, like running. I love running, but I can't run. I've got a duff ankle. I I used to love swimming, but again, it screws me up with my ankle. The only thing that people have suggested is cycling, and I'm like, well, I could try that. But again, in the past, I have tried that, and again, it messes me up because of my ankle. And I'm just like, why can't I just take a pill and be fit?
Yeah, I'm like the Instagram stuff. I feel quite guilty about, because I posted that daily stuff up with me on the rower. For me, it was to make me accountable to people, so that when I didn't do it,
that's why you should never feel guilty for not posting stuff up. It's because you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, but it was more a case of, I was doing that for me, so that people would go to me when I didn't post up. Have you rode today yet? And that was brilliant. Yeah, to have people go, I haven't seen any rowing from you today, and I'd be like, right, fuck it, I've got to row. So you go and row.
Is this where I can troll you in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, like peer pressure works for sure.
A little black note. It'll be like, troll TeapotOne. He hasn't.
But the thing is, at the moment, I couldn't give a shit. I really couldn't give a shit at the moment. But when the pin goes and I start rowing again, like, that sort of stuff will keep me going. That stuff will keep me rolling.
Rowing so boring.
No, I love it. I love it.
Maybe if I was on a river or a lake or something, I'd be okay.
No, I love sat in my garage on the rower, because when I first start, 2-3 minutes in, my heart feels like, and my lungs feel like they're going to explode. My heart's going to come out my chest. 2, 3, 4.
You should try on a submarine next to the macerator. Because then once you start breathing heavily, then all you're doing is breathing in 150 Matlow's leftovers.
Oh, nice. Lovely.
The running machine was at the other end, because the captain used to like the running machine.
Right, so you didn't want to be anywhere near that.
So that's why I used to do the running machine. I'd do 10K every other day.
Jesus.
And I loved it. It was amazing. And I hate running machines, but it was all you had. So I'd put a film on, and I'd watch a film while running or whatever. But yeah, I hate it, because I come back, and the first thing I did was a park run with one of my friends, which is only 5K, and you're like, oh, it's easy peasy. But real life running is different from running machine.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
I don't know what I did. Don't know what I did at all, but I screwed my ankle, and that was it. Couldn't run again.
Right. Like, we're getting off topic here. Let's head back to some questions.
Real questions.
Deep Joy Rides. How did you choose the name Hippo Drone?
Right. Well, I can't show you, because you'll probably get demonetized or something like this. But this svelte figure of a body, if I take my T-shirt off, my nipples look like hippo eyes and my belly looks like a hippo nose. So I'm not going to show you that, but that's kind of where the hippo comes from. I previously had a channel called Hippo Plays, which was an airsoft and PC gaming channel, which kind of never really did anything. But that's where my logo came from. It was airsoft, which is why there's a gun and a hippo and a parachute and stuff. Because the parachute.
I did wonder about that. Yeah.
No, so it's all relevant. I stole the image. God knows when Disney's going to catch up with me on that one. But yeah, it's the parachuting, the umbrella thing. That's from me doing the skydiving. The hippo is because of the belly. The gun is because I used to do airsoft, and that was what my old channel was about. And then it transferred over to Hippo Drones, which is play on Hippo Drone, which is where all the horses and circuses used to happen indoors in the middle of London and all that sort of stuff. And I kind of thought that's something to do with motorbike, sort of play on words, a bit weird, tenuous. Yeah. And the drones is because I talk up to rubbish. It's nothing to do with drones.
I thought it was something to do with drones. I was looking at your channel and going, what's the drone stuff?
I get a lot of people sort of joining me, like, and then going because they think, oh, it's a drone thing.
It's going to be a drone thing.
I mean, I did have a drone because we discussed drones in the past when you first got yours, because I had mine a week or something before yours or something. But you were using yours, and I discovered I wasn't using mine, and so I sold it because mainly with where I work and drones, they're not friends.
For some reason, they're a little bit niggly about
there was something that happened last year.
Yes, what exactly did happen? That's
and it wasn't me. I'd sold mine. It was gone.
I've heard a lot of rumours about that.
I sold mine because I just assumed it was going to get locked down. No one was going to be able to fly in person privately and stuff like that. So I just got rid of it. But me having a drone was nothing to do with my channel. It was a coincidence.
Right. Well, there you go, Deep Joy Rides. Just a question. Oh, another one from R-Rated Customs. Final question. Naked street bikes, should they be made to cover the nuts when on public roads?
Well, I personally think that when you're out having fun, you should let it all hang out. So let the nuts hang out.
Exactly. Swing free. Deep Joy Rides. Hi, Pete and Bruce. I'm originally from Luton, but now live in North Wales, where the roads are proper pucka and fantasticals. If either of you could relocate... Absolutely. Yeah, it's cracking over there. If either of you could relocate to a place where your favourite roads are, where would that be? Woo-ha! Spain or Scotland for me? Boom.
Well, we've already mentioned that Scotland has got amazing roads, but they also have midges. Yeah. And I'd probably... If the police didn't follow me, I'd go down to Cornwall. And if it was just any other place, Spain. I mean, I haven't done as much of Spain as you, but I did do a tour around Europe back in 2013 or something like that. And weirdly, the most amazing riding of my life nearly again made me give up riding, because in the UK it's rubbish compared to Spain, isn't it? Spain. Well, so Spain. Did you ride to Spain?
Yeah, I can't wait to get back to Spain. I really can't. Pardon me, wait. I'm gutted. Richie Vida's heading to the Picos again in September, October time.
Nice.
I wanted to go. I was trying to do a tour myself there, but
it must be difficult to juggle everything and to do the things you want to do as well as the things you kind of have to do for the channel.
Yeah, I couldn't get the ferry space, but then like finances, and I have got so much content now that has to be edited. You know, I've got trips from 2 years ago that I still haven't edited, so they need to be done. I
remember you saying that, like, actually you felt bad posting stuff about you riding, even though it was perfectly legit that you were riding.
Yeah, and there wasn't really any. Yeah, there was no point to post it because people couldn't go. So, you know, there was no point in me posting up.
I guess when they're an advert for effectively for like Toro tours and stuff.
There's no point, is there?
Yeah.
So you may as well just wait.
The good thing is that you've saved it up now. Now you've got millions of content. So once you've got it edited, you've got literally like solid content for the next year, 2 years or whatever of trips.
Well, I could sit now until I probably could stretch this out to Christmas now and just sit and edit and not do anything, and I'll have enough content to chuck out a vid a week.
You need to have stuff for after that, and also not everyone wants to watch a tour video every week.
It's not all just tours, though. You know, I've got 2 California Superbike school days. I've got a day out with rapid rider
Did you do
training.
that with chopsticks? You did that as well, didn't you?
I didn't do it with chops, no. I did it another time. I did them both at Cadwell. I think he did one at Brands.
You did the wheelie school thing as well.
I've done that, yeah. I've done the vid for it. Yeah,
That's very scary.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's quite scary.
It's worth doing. If you want to learn how to wheelie, it's worth doing the wheelie school for sure. But I've got to say, I've never wheelied since I was there.
But because you know how to, it means that it's not scary.
No, it's different doing it on your own bike, and it's doubly different doing it on a public road, because in the back of my head, I'm like, this. If you do this in the wrong place and either get caught or fuck it up.
I made a video a while ago of me versus Big Pezza. He was on his little postie bike and I was on my Aprilia doing some green laning and stuff. And I just mentioned in passing about travelling along a little whoopie bit, which is like a little bit that goes like that, where the actual easiest and safest way to ride it is to keep the front wheel above everything, because then you're not going to be slapping off your back end and flying over the And people, you shouldn't be talking about putting wheelies. It's like, well, I'm not putting wheelies. I'm talking about riding along here. It's fun.
It's a technique for riding that bit of off-road.
Fun, and it's actually the reason everyone rides this road. You shouldn't be telling people to not do this, because this is why people ride it. This is why people off-road. We'd all ride tarmac if we wanted boring and stuff. I feel like I'm an ambassador for the TRF, not anyone that they've told me to be. I'm not doing it for them, but I feel like I'm an ambassador because I'm a member of them, and I'm proud to be a member of them because they offer a good service. They help keep the lanes open, and they give us access to them by showing us where they are and stuff like that. So it's good place. It's a good thing to be a member of. But with every organisation, and I'm sure like things like IAM and stuff have their own people. And I saw the eye roll there, and I do that eye roll every time everyone mentions that. And the same with the TRF. You end up with a reputation of being the eye roll as opposed to the beneficial. And IAM is fantastic, and TRF is fantastic. But if you become a job's worth, you belittle what you're actually promoting.
Yeah. It's why I don't do the IAM or ROSPA club thing, like going along and being part of a club.
You're overqualified, aren't you?
Well, I am, yeah. But a lot of them, like the civvy ones of it, the job ones recognise the difference between what you get taught in the police and what the IAM will teach you. It's just head and shoulders apart. It's totally apart. I'm not saying fucking I'm the Dalai Lama or anything like that. I don't mean it to come across like that.
No, I saw your videos, and they didn't pick you up in the same way they picked up Chopsy.
What, for bike safe?
It shows that you have an understanding, whereas someone without training has less of an understanding. And that's not belittling Chopsy. That's just saying someone with training is going to do better than someone without it.
Mm-hmm. But even in that video, I was picked up for a couple of overtakes, and I'm like, overtake was plenty on for me. There was no issue with it. Yeah. And when I looked back at the footage, I was over back onto my side of the road well before oncoming traffic. It was fine, and I know from doing my course that it was fine. So
the person who's assessing you is sitting behind you in the position on the road that they're sitting on. And they're sitting in the ideal position for where they are at that particular time, because they know where they're supposed to be. And they'll watch you do something, but they can't see what you can see.
Yeah. But then they are trained, they are highly, highly trained, the instructors. You can't really pull one over on them. But I did feel on there, I did think, to me, it felt like you're saying this because you're on video.
Maybe they had to pick you up
for Civvy Street. Yeah, that's how it felt.
When I did my pre-leaving the Navy stuff, I did a load of training and stuff to make my engineering experience valid in real world stuff. So I did 17th edition and Part P and stuff like that. And City and Guild are terrible for putting like double negatives in their questions. So they're trying to make you fall over by not reading the question properly, as opposed to fall over by not knowing the answer.
And RTFQ, read the fucking question. Which
is a very valid point for exams. But actually, what I think these companies are doing is validating themselves by putting in questions that people are going to get wrong because they haven't interpreted the double negative on a question or something like that. So the city and guilds will not pass so many companies or people for a examination, which validates how many people pass it. So therefore, the ones that pass it, oh look, they're clever. These ones aren't, and it's not. It's just.
Do you not think it's also to make people look for the detail?
It should be. It should be, and especially with things like electrics and stuff like that in your house. You don't want someone that's an idiot wiring your house, but you also don't want someone that is a machine that answers questions as opposed to knows how to use a screwdriver.
Yeah, true. I get that, but I mean, the whole point in the police side of things, they do that all the time. In your
well, you have to be very accountable
because you've got to be exact. You've got to be looking. They have to make sure that you are reading all of that information and processing it properly. That's the whole point of the double negatives, is to make you to go has, hasn't, has not. You know,
I nearly joined the police force.
Which one is that? Sorry,
I nearly joined the police force. My granddad was a copper. He used to ride a penny farthing around Petworth.
Right.
And actually, he's the reason I always wear odd socks. He also was a party clown. He was a party clown called Archie Oddsock. So ever since he died,
he was a clown.
He was, yeah.
Really?
A party clown. So just it's just like someone that does karaoke. He was a party clown.
Yeah.
In the olden days. But anyway, where were we going? Sorry, I got distracted.
You were going to join the police?
Yeah, I was going to join the police force, but not in the UK. I was going to go to Australia and do it.
Oh, wow.
What I was going to do was do a couple of years in the Australian Navy and then get citizenship and then go into their police force.
What's the connection with Oz then?
If I transfer, well, my best mate lives in Australia, so it was kind of like I could go over there and be with my best mate.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking about that. But if I transferred across to the Australian Navy from the Royal Navy, I'd have got like I think it was at the time it was like an £80,000 golden hello to help you get set up, to help you buy a house and stuff like that.
Wow!
And what you do is you drop a rank. So instead of being a petty officer, I'd have gone down to a killick or a leading hand, whatever you want to call it, for a couple of years. While I did like a prove myself type thing. Then you get promoted back up to where you were, and then you dual nationality or your citizenship, depending on which way you go. And if you do your citizenship, I think then you get your 80 grand resettlement to help you buy a property and get set up out there. And then I was going to join the Australian police. But then I realised I don't want to be in Australia. My best mate is my best mate, but not because he's in Australia. He's my best mate because he's my best mate. And although I like Australia, it's not a country for me. The UK is far nicer.
Yeah. I was surprised when I was in Oz. You know, it struck me when I loved it and I loved the people, but it was. I remember thinking to myself, "This is back in 2013, 14 when I was there." I was amazed at how over-governed that country is. You know, it's heavily governed by laws and legislation and like just mollycoddled by their government. It was like a police bloody state. It was unreal.
If you've got kids that you want to grow up in a healthy environment, I think Australia's great because they've got all the outdoors, they've got all the coastal stuff, and even when you're not fully on the coastline, they promote outdoors living and stuff like that. I think it's very good for children. So if I had children, then I would probably have thought about Australia a bit more hardly. But being a single bloke that's not interested in having kids, it's not something that ever floated my boat.
Yeah, I got you there. Right. Okay, that was Deep Joy Rides. Right, we're going to have to pick the pace up on this, mate, because we're almost 3 hours. Geoms, you're sent back in time 200 years. With your current knowledge, what would you show people that would blow their minds?
Wow. So what we're 2022. So 1922, 1822.
1822.
Wow. Um,
Internet or mobile phones?
I'm thinking more Navy. I think the not necessarily the nuclear submarines, but the submarine. I think would be quite cool. But also batteries.
Aeroplane. Batteries.
If you introduced lithium batteries in the 1820s,
wow,
and that gave them 200 years to develop the lithium battery into an electric vehicle battery for now, imagine how many one-day trips you'd be able to do all around the four corners of the UK.
Yeah.
You'd have done it in a day if we had 200 years development.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Oh. With your current knowledge, what would you show people that would blow their minds? Oh. God. I mean, there's so much that we take for granted today.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said a minute ago, mobile phones.
A mobile phone would just, what?
That would be magic. That would be witchcraft. The fact that you can show them a picture of a cat on your phone licking a dog.
Yeah, but 1822, if you showed people...
They wouldn't have even assumed that a cat would lick a dog.
But 1822, if you showed people just a photograph, that will blow their mind. If you showed people a colour photograph, that would fry their mind. If you then showed them a video, they would just be blown away, wouldn't they? So to have all of that, plus everything else on a mobile phone, wow.
It is a mind-blowing question. That's a flipping good question.
But he says your current knowledge. So that is the knowledge that you possess now.
I only just about know how to cut crayons.
I make a mean bacon and egg wrap. That's about my knowledge. Yeah, if you're talking about my own personal knowledge, that's really quite limited.
I'm just wondering if someone watched me doing a spannering video in the 1820s, they'd be like, "Oh wow, he's using the modern technique of fucking it up."
It sounds technical thump.
The amount of comments I get on my spannering videos about, you don't want to do it like that.
Oh yeah, it's always fun, isn't it?
Did it and it works.
when you do an installation vid, people are just like, no, don't do it. But sometimes people say stuff and I'm like, shit, I didn't think of that. That's a really good idea.
Actually, the Moto Guzzi stuff is brilliant because there's a lot of people that are very, I'm not going to call them nerds, but they're Moto Guzzi nerds. And they know how to do things. And I love it because they will not only tell you you've done it wrong, but then they will tell you how you should have done it. Yeah. And actually, I'm like, oh, wow, actually, that would have been 10 times easier. Thank you.
Yeah. So it benefits you and anyone else that's reading it. It's not just your shit comment.
It's one of the reasons I love the Moto Guzzi crowd is it's not because of the jobs worth, because there's a lot of them, but it's because of the knowledge, because everyone's home service is the Moto Guzzis. And now I've got mine's 10 years old now, so I'm like, well, I should really be servicing it myself because I'm not paying someone £70 an hour to do that. So they'll show me how to do a valve check and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, show me. I don't mind you ridiculing me as long as you tell me how to do it right.
Yeah. Yeah, did they do well then, the old home build type stuff, the old home servicing and all that sort of stuff?
As in Moto Guzzis?
Yeah.
They're amazing for it because you've got the engines outside. Your valves are literally, you don't even need to take the tank off to your valve.
So they're very much like GS's then with the big boxes, really easy to service.
As simple as they're literally home service friendly. I mean, it's only because of traction control, ABS, and all these ECUs and stuff that make them less home serviceable. The more electrics, the less you can do at home.
Yeah.
But as long as it's just basics, do it yourself.
I've got that little Chinese 125 that I got when I was on the motorbike TV last year. We were given £500 to buy a bike that you had to take to the KTM centre. So I got this little Chinese 125, and it's a total rust bucket. But I fell in love with it. I think I called her Penny. So I was like, right, or Peggy, I think I called her. So in my head, I've had this dream that I'm going to dismantle her totally and then rebuild her and customize her into a cool looking little 125.
That'd be amazing.
But I don't have the time and I don't have the finances at the moment. And I was going to say knowledge, but you know, the idea is for me.
You can wing that.
I learn on the way, really. But I just haven't got the time and the money at the moment to do it. But that's something.
For a little while, me and my friends came up with this idea called, it was a race series called the 12500s.
Mm-hmm.
And we had logos, we had T-shirts. I even got trophies made with engraved in glass and stuff like that. It was amazing. And the premise was 125cc maximum, £500 maximum, had to be road legal. So you could ride on L plates, basically CBT. And we come up with all sorts of events, Motor Gymkhana, Gatwick TT. But the penultimate event was called Shot Glass Speedway, where we'd go into a field, lock ourselves into a field and do down a shot, out lap, fast lap, in that shot, out lap, fast lap, in that shot, and until the last one was standing, sort of thing. And everything was going great until we mentioned the alcohol.
Yeah.
And then all the farmers' fields and stuff. No, we don't want you here. Can't imagine why.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. And actually, that was the motto. What could possibly go wrong? But we translated it to Latin to make it official.
Pete, sign me up. I'm up for that, mate. I'm up for that.
I really would like to bring it back, not necessarily with the Shot Glass Speedway, because
no, do that one. That could be the last one.
Yeah. But I really want to bring it back. But it was like herding cats. When we came up with it, it was just me, my mate Staff, who's the guy who is about to bring in these electric 50s and scooters and stuff.
Yeah.
And my other mate Matt, who's just had his shoulder replaced, so he's not going to be riding for a little while. But it was just the three of us, and it was just this drunken thing that we thought up, literally on the back of the fag packet, and we thought it was amazing. So we bought bikes and started doing it. And then our other friends kind of heard about it and was like, oh, we want to join in. And we're like, all right. And we had about 10, 15 of us doing this. And we did Motor Gymkhana events and all sorts of stuff. But it was like herding cats, trying to get everyone to appear at the same time in the same place.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But the best one we actually did, other than the Motor Gymkhana, one of my first video on my YouTube channel actually is from that event. It was the Motor Gymkhana event. But we also did a Green Lane event, and we did what is now one of the easiest lanes in our area. But back then it was quite hardcore, and we were doing it all on these commuter 125s. I had a RXS 100 was my bike for it, little two-stroke thing. God knows how I got it for the money, because I shouldn't have done. It was immaculate. But I persuaded
not anymore.
I blew it up before I destroyed it. There's a big hole in the piston by the time I sold it on. But I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to fix it, but the engine on it was very breathed upon. It had a RD crank, YX barrel, and it was just a monstrosity. It was just terrible. It had about 500 RPM that you could use at the top of the rev range.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, it was just unrivaled. But it was
sounds very user friendly. That
it was brilliant.
Right, next one. Lone Wolf Garage. Curious, what is the worst smell Hippo has ever encountered while riding the mean streets of England? Okay, what's the backstory here?
Well, Lone Wolfer, again, is one of my early subscribers, and I guess one of his early subscribers as well. He's an American lad. He's got a very sexy voice. So, Lone Wolfer, if you're listening to this, yes, you do have a sexy voice, but I'm still masculine. I don't fall for it. It's a trick. It's a trap. But no, he's. I don't know what the story behind the question, but the worst smell I have smelled is probably the bullshit coming out of my arse talking about you, mate.
That will do. That one. Right, last one on Instagram. R-rated customs again. Question for Hippo. Will there be a feature film adventure of you coming over to the States and riding with some of your contacts over here? Come on, you got to do a fish. You've got to head over.
I will. If it can make it happen, I will, because one of my favourite YouTubers is an Irish lad who you've had on your channel, and he's moving to America, or moved. Actually, I think he's there now. I think he's because time travel and stuff with internet and whatever. I think he's already there. But that's Gorilla Biker.
Yeah.
I count him as one of my closest biker friends, even though I've only ridden with him twice.
He's a lovely. I've never ridden with him. He's a lovely fella, isn't he?
He's
Really nice guy.
Absolutely amazing guy. And I hope that at some point I'll be able to venture over to the US of A when he's got himself in a multi-bike setup, borrow one of his bikes, we'll go for a little spin, and maybe meet up with some people along the coastline of I think it's the East Coast he's going to be on. And if there's people about, meet up with them then.
Mega. That was my plan. That was my plan this year, actually. My plan this year was to do a States trip, a 10-day States trip in May.
That'd be amazing.
Meeting up with people. And then I'd planned to do 2 weeks in India. But then I got sort of stung by the tax man. I didn't realise that on your first year of accounts, you basically have to pay 200% of your tax. You know, you pay your tax.
The next years.
Yeah, because they work out a year in lieu. So they work out your tax bill for that first year of trading. And then you have to pay the same again just to build up that year in lieu. So I was like, the battle fund that I built to allow me to go away this year, well, that went and some on the tax bill. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, well, never mind.
Not what you need.
Which comes to another plus for electric. If you buy an electric bike and you can wangle it through your business, at the moment it's 135% tax deductible in the UK. Meaning, let's just say you buy a 20 grand electric bike. Well, you will get 27 grand immediately. You can earn 27 grand tax free on your business.
Basically, your vehicle free and a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. But it means you need to have that initial 20 grand or whatever it is available.
Almost worth doing, though, isn't it? Can we 5 second?
Of course, yeah. We've got 2 questions left, but feel free. Off you go.
Go.
I've not broken the seal yet, folks, so I'm all right just now. But yeah, folks, you're almost at the end here. We are 3 hours and 10 minutes so far, and we've got 2 questions left over on Facebook. So we'll deal with them once Hippo comes back. Have I got anything to chat to you about? I've got loads to chat. I'm really excited about this debrief with Alec over at English Electric, because there's lots that I want to say about that electric ride, positive and negative for electric. There's a lot there. I want to do it again, to be honest. I would really like to do it again on the Xperia, just because I think it would be a different story. I think it would be a lot different to what it was on the Rebelli RS. The Xperia gets roughly, it's about double the mileage in between charges, and it's about the same time to recharge. So it'd be interesting. You know, rather than doing that 40, 50, 60 mile range, I'll be getting 80 to 100, maybe even 110, 120 miles in between charges. And I think that's far more acceptable, especially if you only need to stop for half an hour, 40 minutes maybe to recharge. I think that's a lot more acceptable. But anyway, we'll see what comes. What else is coming with the channel over on TeapotOne itself? I have so much more coming. I'm just working on the Jekyll and Hyde vid as we speak. Then there'll be it might be the TT vid after that, but I've got a lot of content that I need to get done. One of which is the new Inov H5 helmet camera, which I'm working on as we speak. And this one that just came in today, this is hot off the press, probably isn't even for public knowledge yet, but this is a new helmet camera by Techologic, the HC1. It's not an action camera, but it's another sort of helmet dash cam like the XV1 and the DC1 that they were doing, but it's a tiny little wee thing. So I'm going out doing some testing on that tomorrow to feed it back to them before they do a public launch. So there's a lot of stuff coming on the channel. Loads and loads of stuff coming. Anyway, welcome back, Pete. How are you?
Hi, I'm a little bit lighter.
Mate, I haven't broke the seal yet, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you're managing that.
I don't, because I'm normally the first one going, I need to go for a pee. Right, that's all the Instagram ones. We've got 2 questions over on Facebook. There's a couple of posts for people going, they're really looking forward to it, but we've got 2 proper questions. So again, that's over on facebook.com/TeapotOne. Again, I'll leave Pete's links down below. Motorev. It's the boys over at Motorev. How you doing, lads? If you had 3 broken bikes, an adventure, a cruiser, and a track bike, what parts or features would you use from each bike to build a custom bike? Oh, I like it.
Ooh.
I like it.
That's all Inspector Gadget crap, that, isn't it? I mean, like, oh, man. You see, the things I would like from the cruiser would be the comfort and the laid back, just like blah, 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 blah. Like I get on my V7 and I'm not being a dickhead on it. Admittedly, I love being a dickhead on my V7 because it is such a troll bike. Because you literally buy the ankles of sports bikes of that little thing. It's only got 50 horsepower. But that's a different thing. But the cruisers are great because they're all nice and comfy. Your adventure bike's brilliant because you can go anywhere, and your sports bike is brilliant because you've got grip handling and you can go around any corner. So if it's an imaginary world where you can have imaginary magical stuff happening, I guess it would be the tyres and handling of a sports bike, the go anywhere nature of an adventure bike, and the comfort of a cruiser. But actually, the things I would really take, it would be a comfy seat of a cruiser. It would be the go anywhere suspension of an adventure bike, but it would be the grip from a sports bike. So I would probably end up with a supermoto with a comfy seat.
See, okay, all right then. I would base it on the adventure bike, something like a GS or a KTM Super Adventure S. I'd base it on something like that. But from the cruiser, I'd take the big thumping engine, something like the big Indian, like 1.6, 1.8 litre, or the big Harley. The proper big Milwaukee, was that one? What's the big one they do? 135? It's like a 130 odd Milwaukee 8 that they do. It's huge, great big thing.
It's immense, isn't it? It's almost 2,000 cc or something.
So I would take that engine from the cruiser and whack that into the adventure bike. Now I know, but that for me I would have the comfort of the adventure bike because I don't find cruisers comfortable, which I'm gutted about. I took the Indian Chief out and I loved that bike, but after half an hour, I thought my back was going to snap.
About 15 years ago, I had to go on a Harley 48 from Guildford Harley Davidson, which is where you've had your Harleys for already. Uh-huh. And I was blown away by how incredibly capable it was, but it was also like, I don't fit this bike. Everything was 1 inch further away than I needed it to be, because you can't move the seat, and I couldn't reach the foot pegs, and I couldn't reach the handles. So I had to literally bend in a way that is not natural to reach handlebars. And then I was sitting almost on the petrol tank to be able to reach the foot pegs. And that was the thing that I upset me the most because I wanted to love it.
But I love the Fat Boy. I really love the Fat Boy.
Did you know the reason
I really enjoyed that?
Did you know the reason I got a Moto Guzzi V85 was because Harley Davidson didn't get back in touch with me about the Sport Glide?
Really?
Yep. If they'd got back in touch with me, I'd be a Harley boy now with little chaps and leather jacket and shit.
You got to do the whole scene, haven't you? You have to do it.
Well, I'm going to, when this video comes out, I'll probably already have been there, but I'm going to the World Southwest Rally. Right. I don't know if you know Mackie Jericho. No. He's a lovely guy. Actually, tiny small world. He knows my sister from the olden days, which I really want to have word with him about. He's a Derbyshire lad that lived in Cornwall that now lives in Derbyshire, and he runs the World Southwest Rally, which I'm going to. But that will have already happened, so I'm not shouting out. It's just a thing.
I'd never heard of that actually. I would take the adventure bike, the engine from the cruiser, and I think I would take what would I take from the track bike? I do like the blipper. The quick shifters and blippers on track bikes are beautiful, but then that just wouldn't fit the cruiser engine. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you want a DCT for a cruiser engine, don't you?
Oh, no. No. The only bike the DCT makes sense on is the Goldwing, and it's beautiful on the Goldwing.
Isn't that what a cruiser is?
What, a Goldwing? No, that's a sport tourer.
That's a sport tourer. It's the size of a planet.
Yeah, but that's one of the most agile bikes I've ever ridden. It's phenomenal. Mate, it's incredible. It's not fast. I know TMF loves it as well. It's the biggest surprise in motorcycling I think I've ever had is the Goldwing. It is
one of the channels I follow. They actually went from Harley to Goldwing, and they were like, "Oh my god!" I was showing. They're an American guy, so they're indoctrinated with Harley Davidson being the thing that they should be riding, and they went to this Goldwing, and they're like, "Oh, Harleys aren't all that good."
What I like about Harleys is that with the big Milwaukee engine, and I've not ridden any of the old, like sort of, pre-2020 Harleys. I've not ridden any older Harleys. So I've ridden the new Milwaukee 8 engine, and I've ridden that new, fucking hell, what do they call it? The new engine they've got in the Pan America and the Sportster S. The Milwaukee 8 engine, it's got a soul. It's alive, that engine. You get on it and it's like the bike feels alive, and I get
why Harley guys are hard.
Totally. Yeah. Second I got on it and I rode it, I'm like, this thing's got it's not as agile as any other bikes out there, but it's unique. There's no other, but the only thing that comes close, I think, is an Indian, but the Indians feel tighter, I would say, more better put together. They're a great engine, but they haven't got the soul that the Harley's got.
Do you find it odd that actually a character bike isn't a good bike? It's a bike with flaws, and that's why we love them. Yeah. It
lives and breathes, doesn't it?
I can't remember who it was, but Jay the Garden Snake, I think, was riding no, wasn't it? I can't remember who. But someone was riding a Moto Guzzi the other day on a video I watched, and they weren't slating it, but they were just like, "Oh, it's shade, you slated." It was like a VA5. It wasn't slating it, but it was like, it's not what I expected. But then he was trying to compare it to a Super Duke adventure bike, Super Duke car, and all that stuff. And it's an 850cc pushrod, air-cooled V-twin.
Totally different bike,
It's effectively the Sportster of adventure bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And you said a pushrod engine is never going to set the road on fire.
Yeah, I was.
Doesn't mean it's not fun to ride.
I was really taken with the Harleys, I've got to say, and the Fat Boy in particular really got me. I was like,
it suited you as well. Don't get me wrong. I know you've got the big old beard and stuff, but you're a big lad. I mean, big bikes suit big people. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that that's the bike that you want to ride, but it doesn't mean that that's not a bike that works for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see one in my garage at one point in life, but not yet. Not yet.
After a lorry win, probably.
Yeah. I would need to have the finances.
Harleys are not cheap transport these days, are they?
Definitely. Well, no bike is really these days, is it?
No, they're all ridiculous unless you want to run them.
I've still never ridden one.
Me neither.
Right, cheers for that, Motorev. Next one, Kevin Rogers. On a scale of 1 to 10, how embarrassed does Hippo Drones get when Pez turns up on a bike with half of it missing, but still ends up in front?
Well, I would get embarrassed if I realised, if I thought that having shiny things meant that you had skill. But Pez is a really good rider. He has been my mentor over the last few years. There's no ifs about that. I mean, he has shown me how to do so much on the trails, and he rides his adventure bike with they're almost 120% road tyres in the equivalent. You know, I mean, like he likes adversity. He rides the stupid tyres because he can, and that infuriates me far more than anything else that he does what he does on these bikes with road tyres effectively when I can't even do it on dirt tyres. So yes, it infuriates me, but it encourages me to be better. And to be honest, how can anyone hate Bez? He's a fucking awesome guy.
Do you know, I've met him in passing at a couple of shows and stuff, just literally quick chat and stuff. But I've never met anybody who's met him and spent time with him who's never had anything but good things to say about the bloke. And that's the measure of somebody that if everybody turns around and goes, they're a top person, really decent.
I mean, he has his opinion on things, which is sometimes abrasive, but don't we all? And to be honest, actually, I like someone who is prepared to disagree with me on occasion, because it actually makes you question things.
Yeah,
and he proves that you don't need the latest, greatest metal. He proves that you don't need something within the last 40 years to be able to go out and have fun on a motorbike. Most of his bikes, I think, are actually over 40 years old.
And like you, he's out having fun on motorbikes, isn't he? That's what he's doing.
All the time. I mean, he is the Chris Wallace of C50 Cubs and stuff like that.
Right, nice one, mate. We've got through all the questions. Almost 3.5 hours. Jesus.
What's the record for your podcast for the longest?
I think it's about 3.5 hours, I think. But
so
there's been a few pee breaks, so we'll probably get this down to about 3 hours.
Yeah, edit out all that.
Well, they weren't that long. The pee breaks weren't that long, actually.
So. Oh, no, they were long enough. I'm a manly dad.
Right, dude. I'll have to draw this to a close. But before I go, the floor's yours, mate. Shout outs, whatever you want to do, plugs, feel free. Over to you.
Well, we've already plugged Big Pezza and Mr. Fish. I just want to say hello to Phil480. He's one of my favourite YouTubers. And also, you can't see it on the screen here because it doesn't work like that because of lightness and darkness and stuff. But my mate, he's about to start a new business selling electric scooters. And I really wish him all the best. That's RSI Motorcycles. They're not ready yet, so don't sit there and go and look at what they're doing, but give them a month or two, and there's going to be stuff. There's going to be stuff, and there'll be stuff on my channel. I'll be riding at least one of their bikes. So yeah. They're only scooters. They're not going to set the world on fire. They're not going to excite all you adventurers, but they might get some of you that are commuting to work.
Right. Okay. Well, if they're not ready for people to look, I'll check out their site and any socials, and if they're ready for people to look, I'll put those links down below. If not, make sure you keep an eye on Pete's socials, Hippo Drones socials, for when it is all up and running. What about your own channel, Pete?
Well, Hippo Drones is my motovlogs, but I also run a forum called motovlog.com. So if you are a motovlogger... I
didn't realise that. Fish told me about it today. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was you.
I kind of owned it by default. It wasn't intentional. The owners kind of just went, yeah, it's yours now. Right. And gave it to me without asking. But it's a cool social place to hang out. It's not the biggest place in the world, but it's a forum. And if you are a growing motovlog channel, join us. We'll look at your content, but give more than you put in.
And that's what, motovlog.com?
Yeah, literally motovlog.com.
Cool. Right, I'll leave all those links down below, folks. Make sure you give everybody a like, a follow, subscribe, if it's what tickles your dangly bell or whatever it is you call it. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a nice long chat with you rather than us sort of meeting in passing. What's that?
I'm so glad. It's been massively long. But yeah, it's been long overdue. It's been long
definitely. I will speak with English Electric and see if this Isle of Wight trip could be a goer. I think that could be a nice little piece for them.
And I'm happy to do off season. I don't mind getting cold, Captain.
Yeah, and it'll be a bit of fun for us as well, wouldn't it? So I'll speak with them next week and get back to you. Either way, we'll do something, mate. Definitely, I've been wanting to do something with you for a while, so we'll do whatever we end up doing. We'll do a collab together. All right, nice one, top man. You're only down the road from me as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, dude. Been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Make sure you give Pete the like, the follow, the subscribe, all that jazz. Keep doing your thing. Keep getting on out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Dude, that was mega. Thank you very much for coming on. Let me stop this.
Thank you.